Oh, the reason why Dunn's not here is because he's on his own channel streaming something.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't say that. I wish I knew. I would have talked to him before that. Huzzah! Okay, I think we're live. YouTube was really acting up about 10 minutes ago, and you guys who might have joined one live stream saw two others pop up. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? So sorry about that, but thanks for joining in. This is a 26-minute YouTube from one of our favorites, ATAT-Chan. And oh boy.
Good old classic.
Good, yeah, you can't go wrong with the Star Wars fanboys, the biased, emotional, just everything's awesome in Star Wars land. Apparently not, though, because this is a channel, or rather a video, about the whole trilogy and how it is or isn't as good as you might think. So,
any of you who don't remember who AT-Chan is, he's the one we got Debunking Your Happiness from. So he originally came out with a tweet saying, it's when we got Shadiversity on the stream. And he said, apparently they're going to get some expert to debunk my happiness.
And sadly, there wasn't much in the video for us for Shad to give his professional analysis.
Expertise on.
Yeah, it was like...
He's like, okay, here's a video about the fight scene. And it's like, okay, look, he's going to be something for Shad to talk about. It's going to be really interesting. We actually get to the video, and yeah, he pretty much just counts shots.
What's up, my Ewoks?
It's like, I like the analogy of, it's like looking at a meal on a plate and then really caring about the plate without focusing on the meal itself. So yeah, it's really delivered on this fantastic plate. Look at the lines and the round and the patterns. It's a really interesting shape. What about the meal? It's like, oh, yeah, the meal was all right, I guess, maybe.
Hey, Dunn, how's it going, sir?
Going very well. Going very well indeed.
Oh, I'm glad. I hope everything's working out in your book department and writing is cool and everything is smooth and smooth sailing for you on Amazon. That's always a good thing to know. So
hopefully, I've just paid for an ad campaign since I've got like enough books that I don't have to, that it's mainly just, it's not even a per book, it's a per day thing. I select how much I pay for it. So now that I have 10 books, I have a pretty large library for people to get to take a look at.
10 books. Jeez, you pumped those things out this year, sir, but hope it works out. Okay.
Hopefully.
All right. So we are doing, you guys don't know, is AT-Chan. We already talked about that. But it's a 25-minute video. So let's get going. Gonna take some time.
Good old AT-Chan.
5 years,
right
3
intro.
movies, and a whole lot of debate. I think enough time has passed for me to finally reflect on the entire sequel trilogy. What were the positive...
Don't forget to subscribe to AT-AT chat, guys. That's what we promote every single person we review. Okay. for laughs, for good old feels.
We want them to make more material for us to cover.
Yes, that's indirectly we're trying to say that, but not literally.
And then to claim that we're hiding behind the veil of critique.
No, we love everything they do.
He tries to, what was it, copyright claim one of the streams because we covered him.
That's what he said he was doing. I never got the notification, and I wish I did.
Maybe YouTube was like, actually, this claim's actually kind of bullshit.
That's possible, yeah, that's true.
But that would imply that there's actually someone there at YouTube, and it's not just a bot.
Of each film. What was the entire story about? Was there a real thread through line? Does the sequel trilogy
Was there a real thread through line? What is a thread through line? Have you guys ever heard of that before?
I assume he just meant to say through line, but then just added thread for some reason.
Yeah, because a thread usually refers to a subplot or a side story. A certain thing that dangles like a thread from your clothing. But okay. Hey, Joe Crazy, thank you. I hope he talks about Kendo again. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure he will. The camera angles are amazing.
Indeed.
There were 89 shots.
Then there's this shot. And then there's this. It's like, okay, we get it.
There's a medium shot, and there's a close-up shot. It's like listing off all the. So, like, when you're actually studying cinematography, they'll give you a sheet with all the lists of shots and different shot types. I'm pretty sure, like, he just went over the entire list, and then also went over. Whoever was making the film probably went over that list as well. It's like, okay, we need one of each of these, at least one of them. Like, really stock, boring stuff that people have done a billion times, and it's not unique, it's not creative.
Yeah, without actually analyzing the proper way the fight choreography went, and why it didn't make sense. Like, hey, he's putting his sword on the ground. Everyone's attacking it. Why is that?
Yeah.
So Kylo Ren stabs the ground. They all attack his sword in the ground. And then over here, Rey kicks one person. 3 people get kicked across the room. This guy over here, he throws his weapon away before getting stabbed.
Fantastic stuff. Anyway.
Introduce interesting new Force stuff. And is it enough?
Okay, wait a second. Introducing interesting new Force stuff is not I really don't think is an element of a Star Wars story. It's nice to see new things, sure, but you don't need new Force stuff to make a Star Wars story.
It also needs to make sense if you're adding them, yeah.
Sure, yeah, like Master Yoda.
It's a very arbitrary point. It's like, if they didn't add any new Force abilities, would that mean it was bad? Like, if they were only using the established Force abilities?
Yeah, I don't mind if they have a new one, but that's not
Actually,
why you watch Star Wars. That's like saying, there's a new spaceship. It's like, okay, so is that a good thing?
Yeah, we're going to watch the next Star Trek film because it's going to have a new spaceship. That's the reason we really watch it.
Yeah, well. Here is...
As opposed to, we like the characters.
Yeah, are the characters any good? Yeah, is a good question.
Did it accomplish enough? These are very weird, like nebulous questions.
So obviously his standards for what a Star Wars film or a good Star Wars film is strange enough for us to poke fun at. Here's 99 Sky Guy. Okay. I finally found a way to get rid of autocorrection. Finally, my new mobile phone works. Bravo, sir. Good evening, day, everyone. Yes, I know it's kind of fun when your phone autocorrects you or autocompletes your sentences. It's kind of annoying, but sometimes it's cool. But yeah. John Lemley in the chat. I exclusively watch Star Wars to hear more about midi-chlorians. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we love the prequel trilogy. What are midi-chlorians?
They're drugs.
And the most important thing, did it succeed at finishing out the...
Why is that important? I don't understand. Was that ever the premise of any of the films? We have to finish off the Skywalker.
Finishing the Skywalker saga. There was nothing really to finish. It already ended in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, because the Palpatine was dead, Vader was dead. The Empire was, not dead, but it was pretty fucked. It was a huge blow.
It was a word.
Yeah, so there was nothing really there to pick up and continue with. It's when you go to Force Awakens, they just kind of say, "Hey, look, we're going to completely have a huge disconnect between these films, and the Empire's just back, and the New Republic, well, we're just going to blow them out of existence, and now we've got the Rebellion and the Empire again, and it makes no fucking sense."
Yeah,
and hey, look, it's Palpatine again.
Right, and you don't want to have death being the end of or finish of the Skywalker saga by virtue of death. It's kind of silly. It's like we don't need to know that someone dies and how they die to round off the saga. That you could even call the death of someone a saga. That's kind of silly. What did Luke accomplish?
The Skywalker saga was just what they made up for the when they started talking about Rise of Skywalker. They just put that name on there, the Skywalker saga, to kind of package it all together.
Yeah,
and really tried to push the end game message that this was like their own end game.
They could have argued maybe the Jedi saga, or does it finish off what came before? It's like, well, a lot of things.
I'm not even sure there's any. I struggle to call it any kind of saga because 1 to 6 are completely separated from 7 to 9.
It's very incoherent in many respects.
Kind of like arguing Episode 9 did this thing it's supposed to do. It's like, what was Episode 9 even supposed to be? What was the point?
It was
Yeah, episodes 7 to 9 aren't even coherent with themselves, never mind the rest of the trilogies.
there are so many problems where you have an incoherent plot that is basically the product of two idiot man children, one round-headed, one with a slowly receding head of black hair, having a custody battle over a franchise.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that. A custody battle.
No, I like Mauler's sandbox analogy.
Yeah, where it's like two kids fighting over a toy set, and one is breaking the toy, one's sandbox,
It's like,
one's
they're
toys.
both trying to just. They're just both trying to break the toy. It's like, no, I'm gonna break it better. No, I'm gonna break it better.
Yeah, but I think Last Jedi broke it worse than Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker is dumb.
Rise of Skywalker is
it's
kind of like it was already broken at that point.
Yeah, but it's kind of like there was no coming back from the Last Jedi. Last Jedi pretty much broke it.
Actually, I would say I would go further. I think it was the biggest blow was already done within The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi was just kind of it is what broke the straw that broke the camel's back, and a lot. I know The Last Jedi gets a lot of flack for being the thing that broke Star Wars. I think The Force Awakens already fucked up. It's like building a house with a very poor foundation. So like it was just a really hollow, poorly made foundation for the entire trilogy, and then a dump was placed on top of that, and it all fell through.
Yeah, it's a foundation made of bamboo, very thin bamboo.
Even then, bamboo is quite strong. I would say something shitty.
Cardboard.
Let's go with the
Mush.
sandcastle analogy. I think that's fine. You're making a foundation off a castle of sand. It's like, no. Anyway.
The Skywalker
Rain
saga.
came down
Those are
and
a
the sun
lot of
came.
points to cover, so I will aim at keeping this as clear and concise as possible, but knowing myself, I will go off on tangents.
That's fantastic. You made a 26 minute video saying, I'm going to be as clear and concise as possible. Oh, also I tend to ramble in tangents. How about
you can edit your video, right? If you go on a tangent and it doesn't actually have anything to do with your video, you can edit it out.
It's called writing, sir. You should probably make a list of things you want to talk about and then write them out and then don't do the things you don't want to do. It's really easy. I tend to ramble. Okay. Oh, I'm rambling. I better not write that down. Okay, great. It's called writing. I think I don't even think we need a writer to explain that to someone.
Oh, you should just be like a concise, professional human being who has been to college,
Yes.
or at least like has been through some measure of an education system.
And I think the best place to start is obviously in the beginning with The Force Awakens, starting off with the positives and negatives. If you are like me, the announcement of a new Star Wars trilogy most likely filled you with a sense of exhilaration, remembering how you felt as a child.
That's a fair thing to say. Star Wars fans are excited over Star Wars.
I was 15 years old and very bitter about the fact they kind of cancelled my favorite TV show, so I was in a pretty fuck you mood for Disney.
Okay, well, most Star Wars fans were excited for a new Star Wars trilogy, okay? I think that's fair to say.
I mean, it's fair to say I was biased at that point.
All right, Shiny. Everyone else that was a Star Wars fan except you who were angry at your TV show, okay?
Yeah.
Watching the original trilogy.
Yes, it did.
Or even the prequels. There was going to be more to this story we all figured was a closed door. Then The Force Awakens happened. Now, I've often looked at The Force Awakens in two very distinct ways, and it's a shame that I've never given a full review of the film on this channel. But in one way, I thought that The Force Awakens was a perfect, soft reboot of the original.
Okay.
That's not a positive thing.
Well,
Because it's not.
Yeah.
It is. I would agree. It is a soft reboot, but that's not a good thing when you're placing it into like a continuation of a franchise as a sequel.
I don't know if
It's
the
very
definition of soft reboot is kind of hard because in some ways it's like, well, there's continuity. You're using the terms, you're using the lore, but you're also resetting things. So you have to know what are you resetting and what are you keeping. And there's always a big distinction. I know game series that have been soft rebooted, like the Suikoden series, where they keep the magic idea, but they reset all the background and history, all the characters, a totally different world, but they have the same magic. So it's like, okay, why would you do that?
Well,
So
the thing is, it's trying to do exactly everything the same as New Hope, and that's the what's one of the biggest problems of the film, where it's just taking so much that it's just too similar to the other film while ignoring all the things which actually made that film good.
it's a carbon copy. It's not a reboot. It's literally copying and pasting plot points and plot beats and story beats, almost beat for beat. Like it's almost ridiculous if you look at it.
Like
I don't know
a droid which has some kind of important map or plan
Yeah.
on a desert planet, which they come across a young Force user. They don't know they're a Force user yet, and then they escape the planet on the Falcon. Do I need to go?
Yeah, no. It's
go
literally you can go in order. Like there's the Black Knight. He kills the first person he sees. He interrogates the second person they see. So it's Leia and Poe. Leia and Poe get rescued. The Black Knight does force chokes. There's all sorts of similarities, and they all happen in almost the same order. So if you want to call it a soft reboot, great. It's a carbon copy done poorly.
Yeah, very, very poorly.
Oh yeah, a soft reboot when you're doing something like Star Wars as well isn't a good. Things like Transformers. A soft reboot works for Transformers because everyone fucking hates Transformers right now. It is a pile of shit franchise. So a soft reboot makes sense because they're worried about doing a hard reboot while also wanting to do something that kind of moves away from what they were doing before. But this is not a good idea, especially when you're trying to start off a new new trilogy.
With this one, Transformers had the problem it was a series of horrible anti-comedy movies. This had the prequels were heavily flawed, but they aren't completely devoid of merit. They have good things about them. The Force Awakens, and a part of that being the Force Awakens doesn't really have anything to offer that
there is
isn't
the thing is about the prequels, it was really good at world building. This, there is no world building to speak of.
They
It
almost
just doesn't make
actively
sense.
avoided the world building.
Yeah, episode 9 comes around, you're just like in awe of what's happening. You don't even know how these ships are possible, how any of this stuff on the planet is possible. Where are these ships from, the Rebels or the Resistance or the Republic or whatever the hell they are, where they came from, how they got there, how anyone got to and from Exegol. It's all these questions just pile up, and you sit there in awe, and you're just like, I can't process what's happened.
Because there was no coherent plan, they didn't foreshadow anything in The Force Awakens or the Last Jedi for what the third movie was going to be about.
And that's just episode 9.
Or even what the next movie was going to be about.
Anywho, That's So Skaven. Thank you, sir. You guys just hate Stormtroopers. No. That was Shiny back in 2015, and he was really pissed. So he hated Star Wars.
Wait, what?
But he's a new guy now. He's friendlier. He's happier. He's okay with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kinder, gentler Shiny. Look at it.
Original Star film. And the other way I looked at this, of course, was the sequel to Return of the Jedi. Now, a lot of soft reboots were occurring around the same time. So
No. You don't view it as a sequel. It is actively a sequel.
In my experience. However, I actually do think that The Force Awakens, while being wildly similar to A New Hope, was precisely what it needed to be.
Now, I've heard that before from critics, how it's very safe. It's very easy to watch. You're like, all right, get the puck in the net, and JJ did that. And if you don't think about it, he's right. He got a Star Wars sequel. It was a carbon copy. Everything there that should have been there was there. The problem was
apart from characters, plot, any kind of world building.
Sure.
Also,
go ahead.
I was thinking Tron Legacy is not a soft reboot. It's just a long-awaited. It's a long sequel.
Right, and it just 35 years or whatever.
It's tried to continue. It's kind of flawed. Like there's kind of the main character is really bland, and there isn't really much to like a lot of the story. But I quite enjoy it, like just as like mindless action entertainment that at least like has some philosophical aspects. It's not aping the original Tron, which is probably a good thing.
Whenever Smud says, "Hey, this video isn't so bad," like I just know that almost immediately he's lying. Smud saying a video is fine is probably a sign that it isn't.
Okay, we've seen plenty of really bad videos, and we
That
know
is
what
true.
This
like,
one,
Maggie May Fish
is definitely up there. Some of the TED Talks, the Saurus one, whatever, the female dinosaur. Saurian cinema. Yeah, that was the worst. So there's bad ones. This is not bad. This is at least consumable. We're not going to drive ourselves nuts, okay?
Yeah, there's a difference between consumable and fine, though. It's because this is still bad.
To your exacting standards of what Star Wars is, Shiny, I understand.
You have a weird definition of fine. Like, maybe what you call fine and what I call fine is very different things.
Well, I deal with fanboys a lot, so this is not a big deal to me.
It's very much rule of contrast. Everything else is so bad that this is just like, oh, okay.
In relative to our experience, in relation to our experiences, we can say this is really good. I could say this is actually pretty good. So I'm always happy to look at AT-Chat.
If Star going to come back in a big way to the theatrical experience. It truly was crafted with the intent of reminding us about what Star Wars feels like over necessarily treading new ground.
Okay, there's an interesting element because the tone of a film does have a certain feeling, meaning, you know, if you watch episode 4, 5, and 6, there's a certain...
But the thing is, it doesn't have that feeling. It's just dangling nostalgia for a whole film.
Well, that's interesting because it's very hard to replicate an entire experience from, 20, 30 years ago, different technology, different film, different techniques.
That's because he just copied lots of plot points. That's not an achievement.
Well, yes, I know.
Like Rogue One, I would say, is a film which very much nails the feel of Star Wars, and I would say that's the same with The Mandalorian. Those are two Star Wars media made by Disney, which fit into the world absolutely amazingly with how it feels.
Exactly. So tone is very important, but did he actually achieve that, even though that's what he tried to do? And I don't think he got it right. I think there's a lot missing with tone. And there's something, I don't know if it's John Williams, because a lot of tone has to do with music as well. Pacing is another issue with tone. Jokes, comedy, levity, that sort of thing. But...
I've heard this argument before of like, oh, well, yeah, but Force Awakens has problems, but I feel like it needed to be this way in order to do a Star Wars sequel. But no, it didn't need to be this way at all. There are 1,000,000,001 things you can do to continue rather than just, making a film which is a quotation marks soft reboot carbon copy.
I think that also has to do with the sense of the story, the mystery surrounding the world. We're talking about space opera, very big worlds, very almost fantastical. In the Star Wars universe, the space opera setting is almost generically big and generically alien. You don't know where you are, where you're sitting. So you have that sense of mystery. Like, what's this alien world I'm in? Who are these people? What are they trying to do? That's always been present in Star Wars for me. Even in the prequels, like it's just alien to me. There's this metropolis with people flying cars and all sorts of cool things. With TFA, it felt sort of almost generic, like desert planet, Empire ship, and I'm trying to think of other locations which stood out.
A snow planet.
Yeah, in episode. Was that episode 7? You're right. Yeah, that was the Starkiller base. You're right. Yeah, it didn't really feel alien. It felt sort of samey. If that's a
I'd say no creativity. I wouldn't say samey. I would say it lacked any kind of creativity, or like the thing is, it's one thing to just repeat or copy, and it's another thing to create something new that fits in with the old. I would say the Y-wing is a very good, not the Y-wing, the U-wing from Rogue One is a very good example of something which has the right amount of old while still being new. It looks like it fits right in, and that's something you should always do when building off an existing franchise. Is when it comes to designs, when it comes to actual storytelling, ideas, worlds, anything. It needs, if you're going to do new, it needs to fit in with the old. It needs to be able to look like it could slot right in there.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
The fact that the first director at the helm of this trilogy was J.J. Abrams also gave me enough insight into knowing that there would be a lot of callbacks to the first films, as well as most likely being a pretty decent blockbuster experience. Thankfully, I think the addition of Kasdan to the writing process helped add any novelty that this first entry would need, but I will get to that. The Force Awakens introduced us to Kylo Ren, who would end up being a Darth Vader wannabe, quite literally, and in a meta sense. Finn was going.
What is the meta sense of a Darth Vader wannabe? What does that mean?
I thought you said literal.
Literal and meta.
Oh, and meta. I don't know.
Is that like the audience?
Like outside the film influence. Yeah.
It's not like I don't know. Is that a quality? It's like if someone said, "Hey, look, here's a sequel to the films, and here's this character, and his entire character is he wants to be Darth Vader, and that he has paddies and he smashes things when he gets upset."
Yes, but how is that a meta narrative on the audience or people watching it or fanboys? I don't like you can't just say things like this, right? You have to define them. This is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I think the idea is that he's like a angry Star Wars fanboy. A lot of people took that reading of it.
All right. Some sort of allegory, I guess. I don't know, yeah.
Going to be the stormtrooper who defected, escaping his programming. And Poe, at least initially to me, was just the summation of each original trilogy character in one individual until The Last Jedi. And Rey was
I wouldn't even say he's that. I wouldn't say Poe is just rolling all the original trilogy characters into one, because how is he Leia, how is he Luke, and how is he Han? He's just a hotshot pilot.
Maybe he'll explain himself later. We'll find out.
To be our hero from the desert that we would take a journey with throughout 3 films. Now, here's what I thought was actually interesting about The Force Awakens and why I consider it a really great Star Wars film beyond all the cosmetic similarities between The Force Awakens and A New Hope. First, I thought that Kylo Ren being the son of Han and Leia was brilliant. Now, to be fair,
brilliant. It's brilliant.
Okay.
And then he references a book.
Can you explain why?
Here's not brilliant because it's already been done before.
He's gonna say, "Oh well, Jason Solo in the EU, he was exactly like Kylo Ren. He turned to the dark side." But the thing is about Jason Solo, the thing that you don't seem to remember about Jason Solo, Mr. ATAT-Chan, is that we actually get to see his downfall, and he wasn't a whiny little shit, and he wasn't just a Darth Vader wannabe. And
So
he was actually powerful,
competent.
So it's,
he was a fucking competent villain.
Yeah, so having the progeny of main characters in a sequel is brilliant, apparently.
Yeah, but anyway, the character of him as well, it's made much better by the fact that he is someone... How do I describe this? During most of the time Jason Solo is dark, he's actively hiding it from his family and the rest of the Jedi, which means that he doesn't get found out until much later when his sister realizes he's evil, which adds a lot more to the narrative.
Also, in the end, it is not Luke who goes after Jason Solo. It's his twin sister Jaina.
Yeah,
and she kills him. That's excellent drama.
And Jason also killed Mara Jade, which was Luke's wife.
Yeah, and also a lot of idiots say this: that the sequels is the Jason and Jaina story and The Last Command, only done better. And I'm like, oh,
if anyone says that, with respect to them, go fuck themselves.
Yeah, it's like these two characters don't have any connection. They barely have any like scenes together in the first movie. In the second movie, it's really contrived that they are like, okay, they like each other, what? And then they're dying in the Force. Come on.
Yeah, if they're trying to go for the Jason and Janna Solo thing, wouldn't that be incest? Because Kylo Ren and Rey like have this really weird relationship that's just kind of out of nowhere and makes no fucking sense.
Kind of like it's the overall like idea of like the Jaina and Jason story in terms of like two people that are closely connected.
Yeah,
one's male, one's
but
female.
it's not. It's
so
like
stupid.
It's such a loose connection. It's barely even noticeable or really to even know. I don't even think that J.J. Abrams would know about Jason Solo or Janna.
And voice from the radio. How you do, sir? How's it going?
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Good day. Yes, I'm just fine. I apologize for being a little late.
No problem.
Well, I'm here now.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're about
we like you.
it's 3 minutes in to a 25-minute video, so we're going to try and hurry it up, but, we just keep stopping and talking, and we're just so crazy like that, so hopefully we won't...
Love it.
Yeah.
Every frame a tangent.
I'm going to make sure my mic is actually connected this time, because the reason why I had terrible audio quality last time is because it was going through my webcam, which wasn't exactly helpful.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Good stuff. Good find. Okay.
So I apologize if I've sounded shit recently.
Alrighty.
I think one of the issues with AT-AT...
don't worry, voice. You always sound like shit.
Yep.
I think one of the problems with AT-AT-Chan is just the fact that he just is so bland and
nebulous. He makes such
we
huge, like, sweeping statements which aren't even like you don't narrow it down. It's like, did it do enough? It's like, well, okay, in what aspect? Could you maybe narrow it down? Could you maybe explain what you're on about? Or he'll usually just say, this is good, and then not really explain himself or bring any evidence to the table.
In this case, he's not explaining himself. He just has 25 minutes of his opinion, which is fine. You can do that, but it doesn't help your argument very well.
The problem is, when you're making arguments, because while this may be his opinion, he's making statements of quality. So he said, this is of good quality. It is well written. This is good for XYZ reason. So therefore, it's very right for us to criticize it when he's saying that, this is of quality. It's like, okay, well, our reply is, no, it is not. And then we explain why.
And even if you said, in my opinion, this is of good quality, it's like, okay, but your opinion is wrong.
Even then, that's you're making an objective statement, or I suppose an objective judgment or opinion when you're saying something like that. You're making a statement of quality.
As opposed to if you said, in my opinion, I found it enjoyable. It's like, well, okay, that is your opinion, of course. We can't say no. Yeah, you did not find this enjoyable.
Yeah, there's a big difference between saying, yes, this is of quality, and yes, I enjoyed this. They are two different things.
All right, we have Dr.
Like,
Crow.
I enjoy the room, doesn't it?
Yes, the room.
Doesn't mean the room's bad. Doesn't mean the room's good.
Dr. Crow, thank you, sir. I read a book
The room
once.
is a well-written story.
Yes. Apparently, AT-AT-Chat has read a book, and it might be the one with Jason Solo. We don't know yet, but,
He read a book once.
Yes. That's so That's so scaven. Ray with an A. What are you doing, stepbrother? Okay. What? There's a story for another time.
Jason and Janna Solo.
Yeah, what's going on there? That's one super chat too short, sir, but that's okay.
Similar things have occurred in the Extended Universe books. However, I'm not much of an EU expert. I've only read a handful of books, to be frank. But
he read the Drew books. Yay!
You read a book once.
Similar things have occurred in the Extended Universe books. However, I'm not much of an EU expert. I've only read a...
There they are. Those are pretty good books. So,
You read Darth Vader.
Drew. Can't go wrong with Drew. Darth Bane. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
A handful of books, to be frank. But this twist, for me, now gave this movie some meaning beyond it being a simple copy
There's a
of
twist.
A New Hope. What would make
But
the
it's
son
doing,
of rebellion
in your own
heroes turn
words,
to the
it is
dark
doing
side
the
like
same
this?
thing
That was
as the
something
EU,
8 and
just to
9
a
would
lower
explore
quality.
deeply, which excited me. Plus, the
It
tormented
excited me.
nature of the character was something a lot of people were positive
He's
about,
not tormented,
saying that
he's
it's
just
the
whining.
Anakin
No,
we wish they had
no.
gotten in the prequels. And to be honest, I agree.
What are you
with
saying?
that.
No, flat. Oh, just no, flat. No, they don't explore it in any depth. Sorry.
I also felt that Finn's story as a
It's
defecting stormtrooper was a neat angle to take in this new trilogy.
He didn't do anything with it.
Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't do anything with any of the characters. So, Dunn, what were you saying about Kylo Ren?
It's just like he says they go explore it deeply. That's a flat out lie. Like if you look at the overall like screen time that you get to his development, it's like 5 minutes at most.
Well, what do we learn
Maybe
about
10 minutes.
Kylo Ren? He wants to finish what his grandfather started. He wants to kill his father because it will train him better in the dark arts. And then he kills his teacher so he can do his own thing. I think that's about it. What else is there?
And he wants to kill Luke. And he wants to kill Luke because Luke tried to kill him.
At any moment, he'll go off an emotional tirade, just smashing anything for no fucking reason. It's like, the droid escaped. There was a girl. And it's like, what girl? And then he just starts smashing a console.
Yeah. Well, technically he gets the girl gets mentioned after he smashes the console.
Wait, I thought it was... Okay, well, you're probably right, to be honest. I just remember, was that when he said a girl, he started force choking him?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Correct.
God, he just fucking smashes it. He just goes on emotional tantrums for no reason.
And it's just not intimidating. Like, partially it's because he doesn't have power over our main characters. Like something like Joffrey in Game of Thrones is actually a good example of how to do this kind of character right.
If you have your main protagonist defeat the villain in the very first film, I'm sorry to say this, but we don't really believe that they're going to be in much danger in the next film because we've already seen them wipe the floor with them.
Yeah, that's a common problem even in the Dragon Age series with the latest Inquisition. The ineffectiveness of the antagonist at every turn. It's just, why is this guy a fright? We're not scared of this guy. He's pathetic. Anyway.
Yeah. Periphas looks creepy, but he isn't effective or competent.
He's got the booming voice. He's really tall. He's immortal. He comes back to life. It's like, oh, wow, that's creepy. But he keeps losing every time. And we're not, and the Inquisition's like, well, I guess we'll just do this then. Oh yeah, Periphas wants to go to the Fade, so why doesn't he just go to the Fade? Like anyone can go to the Fade. Like it's such a common thing. But yeah. Not changing topics now. We're going to keep going, okay?
It showed us the humanity behind the mask of these troopers. But the only nitpick I do have about Finn in The Force Awakens is, while he does defect primarily based on the idea that he can't go through with aimless killing, he aimlessly kills his fellow comrades when escaping with Poe. Theoretically...
See? He's making points. Huh? AT-AT-Chan, huh? He's good.
But then what's he going to say? It's like, this is fine, because it's in line with stormtroopers being assholes or something like that.
I just like the fact he's pointing out problems. I like it. It's like, wow, he has a brain. I like it. We can use this. We can talk about this.
Wait, he has a brain?
He does have a brain. Go ahead, Dunn. Dunn?
Nitpick, but I'm like, it probably is something pretty bad from a structural perspective.
Dunn, you cut out a lot.
Oh, sorry. Discorded my microphone to me. Let me see if I can fix something. Yeah, it's like we have the issue of the I'm interested to see what he says.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those troopers are just like him, humans waiting to break their own programming. So it was a little funky. And Rey...
It was a little funky. It was like, if by funky you mean contradictory, yeah, that doesn't make sense with Finn's plot. He wants to escape the First Order, and to do so, he will kill people who are just like him. That's a little strange. That's kind of like, if you're in the military or the Navy or whatever, and you want to get the hell off your base, and you slaughter your brethren to get off the base. Okay. That's not good.
Hey, these are people I was serving with about 5 seconds ago, and now I'm going to brutally murder them all.
It's a little funky, but okay, that's fine.
In The Force Awakens was probably my favorite character next to Kylo Ren. Her introduction, scavenging through the remains of old Imperial-class Star Destroyers, was something else. She was another...
It was extremely awesome, guys, okay? You have to understand.
She was just actively jumping about. I just imagine some epic music just going dun 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 dun, just out of the blue.
So, I don't know how you get an emotion out of looking at a woman or whatever... scavenging.
Well, you see, it's very clear. It's because she's a woman.
How is this even a start? Like, how do you know? What part of us? Like, what are you excited over? What's the big deal?
Well, we do know it's a Star Destroyer because obviously, look at the hangar.
Yeah, but how is that exciting?
There's a thing I've just kind of noticed here. Why is the side of the hangar broken open to the daylight if the hangars on the Star Destroyers are on the middle bottom, which means you'd have to break a lot of Star Destroyer just to get that light. I don't think that makes sense.
The only thing that's somewhat interesting is she's splunking in a ruins, and she's one of the few people, a scavenger, surviving off that, which is interesting in and of itself, but not extremely awesome. Like, what are your standards here, sir, for being excited? Like, what do you do when you go home? You, like, stare at the wall and go, oh, wow, wall, it's white. It's like white. My imagination is nothing's happening. And all of a sudden, television, oh, my God, the news. There's a reporter talking about murders.
So it's, I love lamp. I love desk.
Yeah.
Are you randomly just pointing at things in the room and saying you love them?
Yeah. Turn the light on. Oh my God, electricity. It's yellow. It's bright. It hurts my eyes. I mean, sure, if you have low standards, anything's amazing, but okay. Mr. ATAT-Chan.
Something else. She was another orphan in the desert, except this time there wasn't a whiny sort of young kid nature about Rey.
But I was going into Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
She was a stoic, lost kid trapped on a planet hoping that someday the folks that discarded her would return.
They'll be back.
Of course, again, you have to belittle fucking
While her
Luke.
role is literally new Luke Skywalker, I thought that she had a solid setup for us to get behind her succeeding in her journey throughout these films.
A solid setup, really. A girl.
Maybe define that.
New Luke He's literally saying new Luke Skywalker. So how is this any good?
How is a person who never knew the existence of the Jedi or Force powers, who then is an amazing master of them within 24 hours? How is that an amazing setup? That is the opposite of an amazing setup. That is a bad setup.
Yeah, and then it breaks down in the next two movies.
Yeah. Oh. Here's Joshua Buckle. I don't get how you get an emotion when looking at a woman. Did I say that? No.
Oh, no. It might be when I was referencing... what's his name? The fuckwit. What's it called?
Major Lee?
Major Lee, that was it. I was referencing Major Lee, where you get to look at women.
Yeah, I know.
You get to look at women, baby.
That's not sexist
Why are
at
you
all.
complaining about women being in the film? You get to look at women.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I thought Snoke was a bit interesting in The Force Awakens, but to be honest, he felt like a generic Emperor figure. And that's honestly all I have to say about Snoke. In regards to...
Oh, that's not a problem at all. See, the Emperor in the first film was generic because he just had to be. We didn't need to know every backstory about the head of the Empire. That's not what the story was about. In Episode 7, the Empire is gone, and now there's this new, I don't know, upstart empire. We got to know who's in charge and why and how and what's going on there.
Yeah, you have to get a lot of world building done if you're doing something like this.
Where'd they get the resources?
You need a lot of world building.
How is he a Force user? What does he have any connection to the previous Empire that was also a Force user? How did Darth Vader come into this? What does that mean? Like, there's nothing. Zero. But it's okay because it's generic, and I have nothing to say about that. Here's Neil. Thank you, sir. Having rewatched the ST, it's worse than I imagined. Okay. You can skip TLJ and go to the Rise of Skywalker, and nothing would change. What a piece of junk and a waste. I don't know. I think a lot happens in The Last Jedi that is kind of funny if you don't watch it.
You could skip the entire sequel trilogy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, if I think that you could. That all you need, Last Jedi, is to know that Luke died and Snoke died. Those are the only two plot points that carry over.
Hmm.
And who were they? Who cares, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally different character in Episode 9, Luke, when he comes back as a Force ghost. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Is that the same Luke from Episode 8? I don't think so.
Nope.
The OT heroes and Poe Dameron, they were all fine. Like I said, Poe at first, to me, was just the amalgamation of all the OT heroes. He was a pilot like Luke, a snarky quick thinker like Leia, and had a bit of a Han-like attitude during certain moments. I'd say that's mostly due to the...
That's fair. That's fine.
No, because you're very much kind of... What's the word? He's taking very superficial aspects from these characters and just saying, this is the entire character, and we are putting it into this one character, and we're doing this with all the characters. Because Leia was more than just snarky. Han Solo was just more than attitude. Luke was more than just a fucking pilot.
But that's the depth that we're getting at. Like, that's what we see. So if he can make that surface level observation, and that's as far as he's taking it, that's fine. Yeah. That's all he's saying. He's not saying they're like the entire character is being combined into like one man from three others.
He's actively saying they're taking the same place as these other characters. Like, they're all these characters rolled into one.
They have attributes.
And that's why it's good.
You can say they have attributes, which I think is what he's getting at. I don't think he means they're the entire character. That's a bit strange to say. I don't think he's saying that at all. But from a surface level, you can say things like this.
You do realize this is an AT-AT chat, right?
Yes. But our understanding of the character, which is very simple, there's not much depth to Poe, is, he's snarky, he's quick-witted, he's an ace pilot. These are all qualities he possesses.
Yeah, you're correct, but then that's not... The way he's specifically saying they're rolling all these characters into one, and that's his statement. And that is wrong, because there's more than just a layer...
Okay, Shiny, I get what you're saying.
And
that's fine.
So the attributes he's stating.
Yes, you're right. Okay, hey Glib, how's it going, buddy? How's it hanging?
Hey, I just wanted to stop in because I had a couple minutes before I have to go do my next thing. But am I coming through all right?
You're fantastic.
Here comes through fine.
All right, cool.
All right,
we're back up microphone. I just wanted to say you are all wrong. Star Wars is space wizards, children, shooty, pew pew, girly in charge. Okay, you guys don't. You're just dumb fanboys. Okay, you don't understand. AT-AT chat is enlightened. He's read a book.
He read a book once.
We're not sure which one, though. He didn't tell us.
The best Star Wars character in the DC universe.
Who's also a Nazi, a eugenics guy, and a mass murderer.
Well, that just makes him better. I mean, obviously, that's what the point is, right?
Well, I guess that means we know the heroes of the left.
It's the villain's journey now. The time of man has ended. It's time for the orcs to reign.
The villainous' journey, here's, or the anti-heroine, whatever we want to call from.
As long as heroine's involved.
Yeah, that's fine. That's so given. Didn't Vader leave his helmet on the Death Star? That's a good question. Maybe he had multiple helmets. I don't know.
Actually, no. It was when Vader was being burned by Luke. He was wearing his he was wearing his helmet when Luke burnt him.
Right.
Like at his burial.
So that implies...
if Kylo went to Endor to go get the mask of Darth Vader, why didn't he take a quick pit stop to go get the McMuffin from the Death Star at the same time? He knows where all these Sith artifacts are, apparently. He managed to go get the other one on Mustafar in the afternoon.
All right, everybody. Good luck. I gotta go. But I'll be listening.
Oh man,
see you, Glib.
Terrible. Another big plot hole. You think about these.
They don't specify how much time has passed since the Emperor put out his Tizami message. So Kylo could have just gone to Mustafar that afternoon and picked it up. It's like, okay, so if you knew where they were this whole time, why didn't you just go get the other one when you went to Endor to go get the Vader mask? They're practically right next to each other in terms of forbidden Sith artifacts from across the galaxy. There's two just right there.
Because J.J. Abrams had to pull it out of his bottomless butthole because he screwed himself over.
He
screwed himself over first, and then Ryan completed the job.
Let's imagine that a cyborg has a bunch of spare parts, and he had multiple masks, and maybe they were on the Death Star.
Yeah, but this mask specifically is damaged, so obviously it wasn't one of his spare ones.
Well, it was part of the Death Star explosion. Everything blew up, so it could have been. It could have been anything. Mm-hmm. And the problem with that is then that means he knew where the Death Star blew up, and then as Voice was saying, it's like, well, if he was there, he could find it. Then he wasn't too far away from everything else there. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's just keep going.
Fact that Poe is supposed to die in the first act of The Force Awakens, and then he was rewritten into the rest of the film. But ultimately, I'm glad that he survived because I enjoy Poe and Finn's on-screen friendship. But the most significant thing that happened
with him once he's brought back from the dead
was, of course,
also the friendship quotation marks. It's not really elaborated on or built on at all.
So Finn saves Poe. They escape. They crash land on the planet, and they eventually meet up again, right?
He's out of the movie. Mm-hmm. Yep. He's just out of the movie until the beginning of Act 3.
All right.
It's mostly just he comes in, saves the rebels, and the trailer spoiled the fact that he wasn't going to die. It's which is interesting because
another novel moment in my
I was just saying it's interesting. I was just saying, which is interesting because he was supposed to die.
Yeah. I remember the actor said, "I wish I let them kill me in the first one. I wish that I asked them to kill me in the first one or something after the last film."
Dang. Man.
Rather than it be a simple slaying of the mentor, like Vader slaying Kenobi before Luke's escape, it's a talk between father and son, and a son reluctantly goes through with his assignment to murder his father, weaking his resolve.
I don't think he was told to murder his father. I don't seem to remember Kylo Ren saying, "Hey, go kill your dad." That's Snoke, sorry.
Let's just hear this again.
Luke's escape, it's a talk between father and son, and a son reluctantly goes through with his assignment to murder his father, weakening his resolve in the dark side.
Weakening your resolve to the dark. If you're resolved to do something, you are strengthening yourself to do the thing. It's a resolution. It's not a weakening. You're not reluctantly doing it. You're resolving yourself. You're saying, all right, I'm going to do this now. And it's toward the dark side. So he's doing this to get stronger with the dark side, not to get weaker in the dark side. What is he? Maybe he's using a different verb. Maybe I'm interpreting this wrong. Maybe he meant to see he's reluctant to do it, and he's reluctantly going to the dark side as a result.
Mm.
Words. What do words mean these days?
Not much.
Very little. Very, very little.
For the remainder of this film and basically the rest of the trilogy. Now, I do think the way that this film ended was super strange, and that's because I don't like the literalness of the cliffhanger with Luke and Rey. I understand the moment where
the best part of the movie, it's like, I don't like it.
I don't like the literal cliffhanger.
Seeing Luke was bad.
Yeah. I'm glad that I saw The Force Awakens 2 months before The Last Jedi for free on DVD with some friends. Because I just thought, and I was like, okay, I didn't realize it was bad until much later.
One of the main draws to watching Episode 7 was Luke, or knowing Luke was there. And it leaves us on a cliffhanger to want to see the next film. And AT-AT-Chan is like, I didn't like that.
Cliffhanger? Who does those anymore?
Because J.J. Abrams only knows how to do TV style
Bad films.
stuff. Yeah, and he
I was gonna say bad films.
So
yes,
cliffs,
bad films, decent TV.
So cliffs and cliffhangers are bad combinations. Apparently, they're too literal. They're too on the nose. I don't know. They're just so 2010. It's just not hip enough. You know.
I'm hip.
Interesting taste, AT-AT-Chan, but okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. That's so Skaven. Smug no knows how words work. You like magnets. Thanks. Yes, what are dipoles? What the hell? How do those things work? Fields, resonance. Oh. Anyway.
Let's keep going, shall we?
this is Rey, who has found that she has power in the Force, reaching out to what she considers to be the greatest Jedi who has ever lived, a legend to the galaxy.
Which she considers.
Which is a myth, and she
you're
never.
You're literally going to play the clip where she calls him a myth. And you think that supports the idea that she believes him to be the greatest Jedi in the galaxy?
Yeah. No. Flat no.
Luke Skywalker. I thought he was a myth.
And seeing Luke's sorrow over being presented with the lightsaber.
That's not strengthening your argument, mate.
That was very
like if, for example, if someone told me,
for the Last Jedi. And while I like the note,
if someone told me that there was a map that led to Robin Hood, and I said Robin Hood, the best, yeah, or King Arthur, who's a fictional character? I go with Robin Hood because he's fictional. It's like this is a map that leads to Robin Hood. And I go like, Robin Hood, the best archer and thief in England. I thought he was a myth. That doesn't. Yeah.
Mythical King Arthur, or a map of actual Camelot.
I know they don't actually. I know this greatest swordsman ever doesn't actually exist.
Great thought process there, JJ. That's great.
Notion that Luke's vanished from the galaxy, presumably to the first Jedi Temple. Like I said, leaving The Force Awakens with Rey heading off into the great unknown, leaving us to wonder what Luke might be up to in the next film, for me, would have been much stronger. So if I had to rate The Force Awakens as a Star Wars film, I would give it a solid...
Value means literally nothing.
Nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah. He just spent 6 minutes talking about nothing.
This could have been like a pizza with a bunch of pepperoni on half of it. You'd be like, "What? What does that mean?"
I'm wondering what his score for The Last Jedi is.
Oh boy, you don't want to know.
I bet you it's going to be like an 8.
Probably. It broke new ground.
He's gonna write.
Oh my god.
7.5 out of 10 because it succeeded in making me outrageously excited for episode.
It succeeded in making me feel something. What kind of this book is so good because I was scared of it. Like what? This tome of knowledge from Stephen King was so boring, but I was scared.
How have I managed? I'm just looking at my videos now. How have I managed to do this? I've got The destruction of classic films breakdown discussion at 39 minutes and 48 seconds. And then I just uploaded, it's unlisted at the moment, our reaction to The Room. And it's also 39 minutes and 48 seconds. How have I done that? What the fuck?
Is that like a setting in your video editing software? It's always set?
I guess so. It's pre-programmed at this point. That's odd. I didn't... Bear in mind they're like months apart as well.
Okay.
Never mind. Okay, sorry.
I just
looked at it now and I was like, what?
All right.
8 and 9. In The Force Awakens, while very similar to A New Hope, is a very good blockbuster film that's highly rewatchable. With JJ, I didn't expect much of a profound tale, but
I wouldn't
luckily, as
call
it
any
laid
of the
out, there were
sequel
enough
trilogy
bits of
rewatchable.
novelty I liked, which could make this trilogy its own unique thing, especially regarding Luke, Kylo, and Rey. For me, that's where my focus stayed for 2 years until The Last Jedi came out. Now, before we jump into The Last Jedi, I think it's worth mentioning that the hyperbole surrounding this film's failures are
you know what? This is where it's like, oh, the fanboys said this or this. It's like, just focus on your opinion, sir. Just keep it tight, you know? Make a video about, was the Star Wars sequel trilogy good? And just talk about that.
This was one of the tangents he was on about.
Yeah, I know.
this point kind of funny to reflect on. We have all experienced the rage of Star Wars fans who very vocally despised the prequels and made claims that the true Star Wars saga ended in 1983. Basically what I'm saying is, depending on how you relate to Star Wars, what your age is, your investment in ancillary material, and what you consider good writing, these films are either fun, amazing.
Your investment on, what did he say, something material, and then points at like the Legends fans. Is he trying to poke fun at Legends fans? Because that's not a good thing to do.
And no, Legends fans. Legends fans are pretty passionate. No, I'd honestly say that like the EU is able to dig into more interesting concepts than the actual movies because they have less constraints on their time.
Average, or crap. And all those opinions are perfectly valid.
Okay, there's a difference between your subjective enjoyment of a film and the objective judgment of the film's quality.
I missed that. Can we remind? Sure. I think my thing skipped forward a little bit.
Despised the prequels and made claims that the true Star Wars saga ended in 1983. Basically what I'm saying is, depending on how you relate to Star Wars, what your age is, your investment in ancillary material, and what you consider good writing, these films are either fun, amazing, average, or crap. And all those opinions are perfectly valid.
So this is where it comes and says everything you think about Star Wars is subjective.
Yeah.
That's not a good...
That is a very good scrutiny shield to put up before you start talking about this. And I'm going to bet that despite him saying everything you talk about it is subjective, he's going to try and definitively say how we are wrong.
Well, if you ever spend any time with him on Twitter, anything you say about Star Wars being bad is immediately, you're a hater, you're part of the fandom menace, this or that. So it's interesting how he doesn't really respect other people's opinions, even though they're equally valid.
But I'd say it's disingenuous to claim that one film only sparked debate and the others were
No one is saying this.
There's been a lot of debates in a lot of films. There's debates about, did Han shoot first? There's debates about the Millennium Falcon's fucking engine. There's debates about, I don't know, does Leia really know that Luke was her brother, and that's why she kissed him because she's into incest. People fucking talk about any old shit. You know that, right, AT-AT chat?
No, I've never heard this argument. Only one video, only one movie has debate. Like,
We can make like arguments of quality for most of them, like Revenge of the Sith.
You gonna finish that sentence? Done?
Sorry. My thing just cut out. I don't know why my microphone is tizzing me on Discord. Let me shift. Okay, does this work better?
Well,
we
we'll
don't
find
know
out.
until you start cutting out.
Is this working better?
Sounds good
You're
to
not
me.
cutting out yet.
Okay. But yeah, it's like Revenge of the Sith averages out to being okay with good moments and bad moments. Oh my goodness, what is going on? 1 second, let me.
Well, you haven't cut out yet. That's good.
Huh. It says my RTC is disconnected for some reason.
Well, either way, I mean, the statement that there's only one movie like The Last Jedi or this or that, which has arguments,
This
is
is
like
the thing.
silly.
All of this is quantifiable, but in order to provide evidence, we have to quantify it, which takes a really long time because it's a complicated process, but it is doable, but it's long-winded. So the moment we actually try, we're then dismissed because we're taking too long. It is the parable of AT-AT-Chat and those of his ilk.
Yeah, so again, I've never heard this argument, and it's kind of odd to bring this up as a straw man to sort of put up on a post and say, look, see, it's not just one movie. You could do it with all of them. It's like, yes, you're right. We've done this. Why would you say this?
Because Star Wars has a lot of flaws.
And a lot of fans, and there's lots of talking every day for decades. So nothing new under the sun for us. Anyway, let's just go.
Valuable works of art. The amount of researching the history of Star Wars and its legacy will show enough evidence of an angry fan base throughout each trilogy, all saying the same exact thing.
Of each trilogy, that's interesting. The original trilogy, because we've got 3 trilogies to look at here, and if you're saying every trilogy, that includes the original trilogy. So where was the massive angry fans angry about the original trilogy?
Quite sure the original trilogy spawned a series of books and video games and side stories of all kinds to the delight of everyone who likes those media. So
I think it's fair to say that if the original trilogy hadn't been a success, we wouldn't have had the continuation we have right now.
Yes. If Lucas started at episode 1 and 3, it would not have taken off the way it did.
We'd have ran out of gas ages ago, and this wouldn't have happened.
It's the myth they keep trying to push up. The myth of, oh, well, you know, Empire Strikes Back when it came out was hated. Everyone disliked it. Imagine if the internet was around when Empire Strikes Back came out. And that's the constant fallacy they keep trying to go back to. It's like, oh, well, fans were angry about this film when they really weren't. And there's lots of facts to prove that they weren't.
I mean, Empire made a lot of money.
Yes.
There was a lot of money.
Also re-released multiple times. It had glowing reviews, and it gained like a flurry of awards. It's one of the most successful sequels to a film ever.
We move into The Last Jedi, or as I call it, War of the Worlds. When I first...
Let's bring up, what is that, H.G. Wells? Who wrote that? War of the Worlds, that classic alien invasion story from 100 years ago. No, 120 years ago. I think it's pre-1900s, yeah, ancient.
And it's still really like holds up, like both in terms of its science and its plot.
Yes, I don't know where he's getting the War of the Worlds, but I'm assuming he's talking about the fanboys and the fandom menace. I'm assuming.
First heard Luke utter the lines, "It's time for the Jedi to end" in the teaser trailer, I was immediately gripped in a way that The Force Awakens did not grab me. We were about
I was immediately gripped. Next topic.
Why? Could you explain? Why did it grip you? It's one of those shocking lines they put in there just for the sake of shocking the audience.
To get a story specifically about Luke's disillusionment with the Jedi Order and how the failure of his academy drove him into isolation.
His academy didn't fail. Do you know what happened in the movie? I'm quite sure it was a big thing. What Kylo did.
His academy blew up.
little scene there with Kylo and Luke. People died. Don't think it was a failure of the academy, though.
Yeah, it wasn't a failure at all. I suppose in a sense it was a failure of Luke because he, for some reason, said, "Oh well, time to kill my fucking sister's son now. Why not? My nephew's gonna fucking die tonight.
Yeah,
he's having some bad dreams.
Bad dreams must be destroyed. I'm the dream police." Oh, Luke, what are you doing? That's so Skaven. Local news at 9. 4 men pick up one poor AT-AT pilot. Oh, wow. Yeah. Exciting stuff. Just exciting and just awesome. Incredible. Mind-blowing. That's what we think of when we watch Star Wars. Just everything's awesome.
Everything is awesome.
No.
Told us this is not the Luke that we knew from Tatooine, but a man.
This isn't your
regret
father's
in wake of his
Luke.
recent past. The trailers look drop dead serious and potentially chocked full of interesting Force lore. To me,
interesting Force lore. How, where? How? Where? When? Who? What Force lore? What are you talking about?
The way he's saying it, he's saying the trailers were packed full of allusions to interesting Force lore, and it's like,
where?
How? You
Who?
had a tree and a book. How is that alluding to interesting Force lore? It's a fucking tree and a book. That's all it was.
How about showing a computer on the screen or a display screen from a computer? It's like, wow, interesting Force lore in the computer. Like, yeah, that's possible, sure.
The weird hellmouth.
Yeah, showing Luke on screen. He's a Jedi Master. Interesting Force lore, of course. Yeah, what is your point? What are you talking about? How is that good? I'm sure he has other interesting things to say too, like how to cook fish. Is that good?
He probably has a lot of good recipes.
Yeah.
based on the teaser, Rian Johnson was crafting the first truly new Star Wars.
Okay,
The first
truly new
film.
Not just new,
A New Hope wasn't truly new.
but
Empire
truly
Strikes Back
new.
wasn't truly new. Return of the Jedi wasn't entirely new. Phantom Menace wasn't entirely new. Attack of the Clones wasn't entirely new, and Revenge of the Sith wasn't entirely new. You do realize none of the things which happen in any of the Star Wars films happen again. They don't. None of the other Star Wars films copy each other. Not even the prequels. The closest you get to things like quotation marks rhyming, which was put in there intentionally, and even then isn't a direct one-to-one comparison, because one of them is blowing up a ship and the other one is blowing up the fucking Death Star. They're two separate cases in two different stories and two different plots.
Yeah, so whenever you write a sentence, try to ease up on the pronoun or the adjectives. First is more than enough. Truly is one of those loaded words, and new is always subjective. So like, what's new? Like anything coming out is new. Is that good?
I think he means new as in different.
The first
it's entirely
different.
original.
It's new, therefore it's different. Okay.
I applauded it for being different.
Yeah. Here's Jake the Surgeon. Thank you, sir. I will give you all the most hetero bro hug that the sheer testosterone will make every woman squirm. Thanks for the entertainment. Well, when we're watching Star Wars from AT-AT-Chan, everything's awesome. So if we're not orgasming from AT-AT-Chan, we're orgasming from you, sir. So thank you for that bro hug.
Yep.
In that non-sexual orgasm sort of way.
Yes.
Film in this trilogy, using where everyone was left off as his starting point for his tale. So my initial experience of seeing The Last Jedi in theaters was interesting because, to be honest, at first I only half liked it.
Oh my god, he only liked half of it.
Well, when he first watched it, and this is part. I think I remember what his other videos narrative was. When I first watched the Last Jedi, I hated it. I thought it was terrible. But after I kept watching it, I realized that it was a good film, and that's one of his argumentation he keeps going back to in his older videos.
Yeah, after the 7th viewing, I really got a feel for it. It's like, oh, it was that amazing, and your senses were so diluted that you're like, oh. Now I get it.
I honestly think he makes it up. I don't think that when he went in to watch The Last Jedi, he really hated it. I think it's just something he's making up for argument's sake.
It's possible.
I saw The Last Jedi twice in the theater, because my sister hadn't seen it, and I need to, and she wanted to see it, and we saw it for free with a big like thing for my grandpa's work. And then I saw it with my girl with a friend of mine, and she hated The Last Jedi. She thought The Force Awakens was room levels of funny bad, but The Last Jedi was painful for her to sit through.
Wow. It was interesting. I'll give you that. When I first saw it, I was just, whoa. I was shocked. I was stunned. But that was nothing compared to my shock of watching episode 9. So
that's because Rise of Skywalker is its own level of Transformers levels of stupid bad.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's hard to describe that film in any way.
Specific, I thought Kylo Ren, Rey, and Luke's tales and how they intertwined and all the lies and half-truths that were going on was amazing.
What?
I legitimately...
It was amazing. The narrative was amazing. There were 3 stories telling the different angles. Oh my god.
All the half-truths, all the lies, all the strings. You thought that was amazing.
It's like I'm reading
quantify this.
A murder mystery where there's people lying. Oh my god, it's amazing. I've never seen a Murder, She Wrote episode before.
You could say, like, the most nebulous things about any fucking Star Wars film. You could say the same things about Attack of the Clones. Oh my god, all the characters, all the lines and the mysteries. Oh my god, who really is this Darth Sidious person? Who is he really working for? Oh my god, who really made the clones? No, that doesn't make it good.
Here's Joe Crazy. Thank you, sir. The magic dark side butthole. A truly great inclusion to the lore. Yeah, there's so much on that island that just, I'm like, what is going on? What is the lifestyle of these fish nuns? Why is there a dark side pool mirror thing? What was the point of that scene for Rey? I don't know. Why did Luke get so angry she went there when he wasn't doing anything for her? I don't know.
No, he only got angry when she was reaching out with the Force, and then she looked at it, and then apparently she got tempted by the dark side, and then Luke said, "Oh my god, you got tempted, and now I'm going to teach you anything else."
It's like, you're not helping me, Luke. I need some help. I want to find out my place, where I fit in. It's like, you just went there. It's like, yeah, so I didn't kill anyone. I didn't do anything bad. I looked in a mirror and I got sad.
That's even before she looked at the mirror.
Thanks, Luke.
That was just her having a vision sitting on a rock of that little cave.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
And then, because she has the vision of the cave, she goes to the cave.
Yeah.
Ultimately have zero issues with Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. And this isn't a video essay as to why, but for me, his issues regarding his legendary status, how he thought he could lead the Order of Jedi and failed, while also accidentally causing the moment which created Kylo Ren, was a 10 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Oh.
One of the worst parts of the film. 10 out of 10, guys.
It was, okay, 10 out of 10. You think this is completely perfect? I don't think anything is really a 10 out of 10. Like, it's really difficult to get completely perfect 100%.
Yeah.
He went into none of this film.
Yes.
He might as well have said it was a springboard from The Force Awakens and left it at that.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't even go into stuff like, ooh, Snoke dying was an excellent surprise and it worked out perfectly for the film.
He hasn't got there yet.
Well, he's already given it a rating, so...
Well, no, he's giving Luke's... he's not giving the film a rating. He's giving Luke's betrayal and Luke's arc a rating. Where Kylo, the way Luke was betrayed, he was done a 10 out of 10.
Portrayal.
Well, you see, I'm making dumb language for him because I imagine this is the way he talks. He got portrayed.
Well, the whole idea is that Luke felt shame out of this entire ordeal, and he was so shameful. He hid himself away for, 10 years? However, maybe it was only 5. I have no idea how long.
Who the fuck knows? It's never explained how long it is.
Time doesn't exist in these movies. Like, we have no idea what the timeline is.
Didn't contact his sister.
Because of this, Han and Leia just split up. Why? Why did he just split up because his son goes missing? I don't.
Like if you were like teaching your nephew, and all of a sudden something bad happened, you just ran away from that event. The parents of your nephew are like, "Where's my brother? Where's my son?" And there's no answer. And then you find out your son becomes a serial murderer. You're like, "What the hell, Luke?"
Yeah. After that, I don't think Leia would want Luke back. She'd probably blame him. Like, Luke, what the fuck did you do?
Yeah. Where's the backstory between Leia and Luke? Did she just like, oh, I guess something happened? We don't know. Could have been Luke, though. Luke's a good guy. Where'd he go? Whatever. Jedi stuff. Who knows? His whole house burnt down. All the people in it died. He was a teacher. Just left all his students alone. Stuff happens.
It's whatever. All we know based on The Force Awakens is that one of the students turned on him, betrayed him, and killed all the students, and Luke ran away.
Even then, that's retcon, though, as Kylo Ren. Yeah. At the moment he walked out of the hut after crushing it under Luke, just random fucking lightning strikes the temple and it explodes.
And it was Palpatine. Yay!
10 out of 10, guys. Amazing depiction.
Yeah.
It didn't bug me at all that he was a curmudgeon. I liked it. And Rey being denied the very thing she hoped to achieve,
didn't bug him that it was a curmudgeon.
Jedi training, was also interesting because it made a bold statement that to be a user of the light side of the Force doesn't mean you have to be a Jedi, and that you have to go off this training for years.
Who here believed that you needed to be a Jedi to use the Force?
No, a user of the. I think he's going with the genetics argument.
No, he's not going with the genetics argument. He's making the film made the bold statement that you don't need to be a Jedi to use the Force. Because I know there are people who made the genetics argument. We've already thoroughly shut that up.
What was Chewit Unwi again?
Yeah, the Chewit Unwi came before this film, and even before this film, there was fucking Clone Wars that brought up other. Whatever those weird Gungan people were, they weren't Gungans, but they were similar species. And then one of them was like the girlfriend of fucking Jar Jar Binks. We don't really talk about
I blocked that out.
But anyway, yeah. And even in Legends, the Jedi weren't the only fucking Force users out there. I don't think anyone really ever thought that you needed to be a Jedi to use the Force, because
at no point did Luke say that you don't need to do training for this, which is what ATAT-Chan just said. At no point did Luke specify as, no, you can just be good with the Force, you don't need to practice. That was never something that was uttered.
No, what AT-AT-Chan is specifically saying is that the film is saying that you don't need to be a Jedi to use the Force, and that's his statement. He's not talking about Rey's power level.
Really? Because I thought he was just talking about how you don't have to train to use.
No, I don't think he was saying that.
Here's That's So Skaven. AT-AT, watching him suck on the space cow gave me a bone.r. Yeah, well... certain folks like certain things, and that's just his taste. He just likes certain things with Luke that they're perfect. This was just perfect Luke depiction. No matter what Luke did, 10 out of 10.
That lesson coming from Luke was great to me because it also spoke to the larger issue at hand on if the galaxy even needs the...
Okay, so this is an interesting idea. If you have a story in fiction and you have, let's say, a space opera, you've got your ray guns, you got your spaceships, and you got your mystical powers. If you suddenly say, you know what, I'm going to create a character that showcases this mystical power that anyone can do without any training, and it's just natural, and that's just the evolution of the power. Well, now you've taken away something unique from your story. It's no longer about Jedi and this and that. It's just about ray guns and spaceships.
Then you also, with that one, you break the power creep and set it to power acceleration.
Exactly. So you have all these people running around now that are gods because you said so.
could be interesting to do something like that, but you need to write it very carefully.
Yeah, so now you have Rey.
Checks and balances.
So you have Rey and Kylo running around as these gods. For some reason, Kylo's not a god, even though technically he is, as according to Luke. So, but there's others.
I've only ever seen this raw power once before. It didn't scare me then. It does now.
So is Rey stronger? We know she's stronger, but how much stronger? And why isn't Kylo as strong or closer to strength than Rey? Why is Snoke so strong? How did that work? See, there's all these problems with the lore now once you have this stupid nonsense where you destroy one of your components, which makes your story unique, which is the mysticism of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very careful with your lore. Technology, magic, politics, doesn't matter. If it's a big concept like that, you have to be very careful how it works, because there's going to be a specialist, whether a mathematician or whatever the element is. You could have a story about romance. Like, this is not how people fall in love. This is bullshit. So, you have to have some sort of element that makes sense, is consistent, and unique to your story. You can't screw that up. Anyway, Joe Crazy, thanks again. They clearly were trying to make some half-assed attempt at trying to introduce the idea of a gray Jedi, but it's done in the dumbest way possible. I don't even think that's... I think you're giving them too much credit there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they were going for Grey Jedi.
Yeah, because we have Grey Jedi in KOTOR and the EU, which they're very like middle of the road, sort of believe in love but don't kill, that sort of mentality. Luke is just whatever, and Rey just happens to come by like, what the hell? How is this even possible? And he's scared. so even Luke is scared of this chick.
Jedi in to jump ahead of the gun, but I think that was at least initially the point of this trilogy. This is a topic that has been around since the prequels.
What?
Into exile. Must go.
I don't think that was the point of the prequels. I don't think this was the point of the trilogy.
Isn't that hilarious?
To say that... Okay, the reason why Yoda goes into exile is because the whole, the Jedi being completely wiped out and murdered, his life is in danger. He needs to get out of there, otherwise he's going to fucking die.
Just think about what he said.
Maybe that's the reason he went to exile?
The point of Star Wars is to disprove one of the elements of Star Wars, which are Jedi are special, and you have to have training, and there's a monastic order.
Well, his argument he brought up there was, does the galaxy need the Jedi? And he's trying to say that this is what the prequels are trying to say, and this is what the sequels are trying to say. I don't even think that's what they're trying to say.
Because at the end of Episode 8 and even 9, the Jedi are not going to die. Luke makes that statement, but he never defines what a Jedi is. We don't know what a Jedi means to Rey. Rey gets training in Episode 9. She obviously has some skills, or more skills. If she needs more, I don't know why. So there is some continuation, but what is a Jedi anymore? It's Leia, and then she dies, and then it's Rey, and then she dies, and then she comes back, and then what? What is a Jedi? What do Jedi do? What's the point? We have there's no culture. There's no teaching. There's no society. So what does the galaxy need Jedi for? Nothing. Why do you think JJ put them in there? Because people like Jedi. That's it.
No, well, I would say that the reason why the galaxy needs the Jedi is because the Jedi are the guardians of peace and justice. They're supposed to be the heroes which defend the galaxy from evil. And at the moment, the galaxy is currently being, during the time of the Empire, was being ruled by an evil empire. And during this time as well, there is an evil First Order trying to conquer everything, and they're actively succeeding. So that is the time that you would need heroes to come and basically defend and save the galaxy, which is why the Jedi ending during a time of darkness would be a very bad thing. The only time you wouldn't really need a Jedi is, well, I suppose the closer you can get to not needing a Jedi, is a time of peace. But even then, guarding the peace to make sure the peace keeps going on would then become the job of the Jedi.
That's the social requirement, I guess. You could say that what's the point of a Jedi? But this is like the fundamental building block, the genetic of the Jedi, meaning anyone can do this at Grandmaster level within a day. So then you have these, again, as we said, as Dunn said, superpowered people running around. being. Now imagine they could be light or dark or gray or what have you. It'd be chaos. It would just be insanity. Like you remember watching those. But the Force
could be what could be interesting is actually what Brandon Sanderson does with the Steelheart books. Where randomly a bunch of people got superpowers. Some of them have higher level tier superpowers. But we're not focusing on any of them. We're focusing on the normal people trying to kill them.
Right. Like
Kill
imagine
them because they're evil.
Yeah, imagine watching the Old Republic promotional videos with all those Shalaran, or what's her name, Bastilla Shan, and whoever she was fighting. And those guys look pretty overpowered.
Malgus.
Yeah, like those guys were really strong. Can you imagine them being like 3 times stronger, like Rey level? That would be nuts. How would you stop these people? Yeah, you'd have like this hierarchy of people like despots. They just crush anyone in their path. And you can call them gray, this or that, but it would just be this horrific story of gods being born with no training and just annihilating planets. And who cares about force powers? They could invent whatever they want. They could pull stuff out of their ass. I can eat planets now. I'm Galactus. I can turn moons into Swiss cheese. Why not? You can do it. It's the Force.
Darth Nihilus try to do something like that?
Darth Nihilus ate all the life, purposely the Force wielding life of planets. So like the Miraluka, he destroyed that entire planet by consuming it. So yeah, pretty nasty guy. Scary. Nihilus, Scion, and Treo were the big 3 there in KOTOR. So KOTOR. Anyway, let's just keep going.
Failed, I have.
If anything, Luke's disillusionment with the Jedi in his own legend mimics the common folks' disillusionment with the legacy of the Jedi Order during the Republic. And as far as Kylo Ren goes, his inability to be what Snoke...
That was a giant lie.
The reason why the public became disillusioned with the Jedi was because of the active... for one, there was a war, and there was propaganda being put up that the Jedi started the war, and then they actively put out more propaganda saying that the Jedi were evil and tried to kill the Chancellor. That's why the public didn't like the Jedi. But even then, not all the public believed in the lies about the Jedi.
Right. And why is Luke so pissed off at the Jedi that they created Darth Vader? Like, he was there. He fought Darth Vader. He knew Darth Vader.
It was a Jedi that taught Vader. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? But the Jedi also taught a bunch of these people. The Jedi were responsible for thousands of years of peace. Yeah. When you had 30 top most years of iffiness, and because of those 30 years, like, oh yeah, the Jedi were responsible for those 30 years, despite not being responsible for those 30 years. And then, because obviously the Jedi didn't train Palpatine, like, this all would have happened without Vader.
Imagine if the Jedi went around and Palpatine was just free to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah. Like,
that
Palpatine would have risen to power much more easier if the Jedi weren't around. And that's why he wanted to get rid of the Jedi, so he could go to power.
Yeah. The whole argument was that he made the Separatist group, so that he can create a clone army with chips in their head just to have Order 66 so he can kill the Jedi, because he knew the Jedi were the greatest threat, because they're Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he just started creating the Empire right then and there, then the Jedi would have said, hey, wait a minute. You're kind of taking away this whole democracy thing. You shouldn't be doing that. Wait, you have supreme powers? What? Yeah, it's supposed to be a democracy. What are you doing, Palpatine?
I'm sure there'd be other things he could do, but he'd have a much easier time getting what he wanted. Considering he's a clone immortal person or whatever. I don't know. We don't know what Palpatine is anymore. It's kind of been destroyed in the lore.
Immortal.
Sure. Hard to say. Oh, here's Obone 1 in Obo. Thank you, sir. The Emperor did nothing wrong. He was best peacekeeper. For my point, Rebel was evil. Thank you very much.
From my point of view, the rebels are evil.
Oh, dear. Thank you, Anakin. Wonderful dialogue.
desires, while also still being in a mentally weakened state over the murder of his father, was pretty amazing to me.
Was he in a mentally weakened state?
I don't think so.
I don't think he was.
I think he was a little bit shaken, but I don't think he was weakened. Quite the opposite. I think he was pretty strong because killing and using your emotion makes you stronger in the dark side. So...
yeah, hate and pain. I think that actually Malgus kills his wife because it fills him with pain in the Old Republic.
Right. So Sith like pain. Power. They like to be conflicted so they can use it as power to...
well, not conflicted. Specifically, they want to be filled with hate and negative emotion to fuel their power.
Exactly.
Now, I have no preference between Kylo with or without a helmet, to be honest, but I am glad that we got to see Adam Driver express emotions throughout the film. And while it's absolutely a bit over the top at times...
oh, God,
actors act. Oh, my God.
Whoa! It's like, that is laughable.
You know when Daisy Ridley opens her mouth and she doesn't say anything? That's good acting, guys.
She shows so much emotion. Look at the emotion.
The Kristen Stewart School of Acting.
Yeah.
His reactions to things around him felt real. And the Last Jedi,
the acting, look at him. Look at him. He's amazing.
His reacting to
oh my God.
Ben Solo, since he chose not to murder his remaining
look at her acting
in this film.
It's amazing.
That's a bold move for the film's main villain. And another thing that I absolutely love about The Last Jedi is Kylo.
It's incredible, guys. It's awesome. It's amazing. 10 out of 10.
Why? Explain further than just Kylo Ren reacts to things.
Okay, let me explain something to you, ATAT chat. Emoting is not good writing in and of itself. A good performance does not raise bad writing.
Also, when you bring up the argument of showing emotion, that emotion should be convincing from the writing standpoint and by the acting standpoint.
Would the character act the way they should? That's the basics.
Mm.
Does Kylo Ren getting angry make sense? Yes, it does. He's that kind of character. It makes sense. So finding an actor to fill that role is fine. Did you get the right guy? Does he know how to act? Yeah, Adam Driver's a great actor. Everyone in this film is a great actor. They're good.
Daisy Ridley.
Well, we have some questions with her, yes. But for the most part, getting the right artists on the set, doing the job they're asked to do is fine.
Even then, I think when you can have the best actor, but if they don't know what they're doing because the director is a fucking hack, you could get the best actor, give them a terrible director, and the director won't direct them how they're supposed to, and the actor won't know what the hell they're supposed to be doing.
For complicated scenes, you're right, like choreography. It's like, okay, someone did not teach these guys how to fight properly. And we don't know if that's the fault of the choreographer or the director or the actor. There's a three-way thing there. Who's the person choreographing the fight scene? Because the fight scene sucks. It absolutely sucks.
I think it's overcrowded. It is very, very overcrowded.
It's busy and it's stupid. It's not believable. They don't use force powers. There's kicks that don't make sense. There's a guy blocks a lightsaber with his gauntlets, both arms. And you're sitting there going like, was this a thing? But yet it penetrates.
And another guy gets it. It gets right through the chest.
Yeah, it's
the
like
most protected area.
Like it doesn't make sense. The props don't make sense. The fight doesn't make sense. The poses, the swings. Why Kylo keeps using a backward grip with a frickin' hilt? I don't get it. A long sword back grip, it just does not make sense to me. If it was like a katana or a single blade without a hilt, and without a hilt that could cut your wrist off, you don't want to do too many wrist actions when you have a hilt that can burn through your wrist like butter. So you don't want that. But he does these things. You sit there like, this is stupid. No one would hold a weapon like that in such a way. So anyway, let's talk about the how amazing the fight scene is in the throne room.
killing Snoke. Like I said earlier, Snoke was Diet Emperor Palpatine. So our villain, who has finally found resolve to kill what's in his way, that being Snoke, his master, was a great move to me. I was never interested in some final showdown between an Emperor surrogate and another Jedi. Oh. God. And to be honest, Kylo eliminating his master and desiring Rey to join him to form a new order for the galaxy was a great setup for the final film in my...
Was it really? Because now we have Kylo Ren, who's not a very believable villain. We've also had Snoke, who pretty much appeared from nowhere, and he just dies with no world building, no explanation for his character, where the fuck he's come from, because Snoke in himself is a very big contradiction, the same as the First Order. The First Order just comes out of nowhere, and we don't know how, we don't know why, and it's a contradiction to everything we know about the Empire. Because Snoke was never in the original trilogy, and he's here now. So how did we get to this point? And we need to explain what's happened. How have we gone from Empire versus Rebellion to the Rebels overthrowing the Empire to create a new Republic, and then all of a sudden the Empire just comes back? Where did they get the resources? How did they take over the galaxy again? How did this happen? How did that happen? And the fact that you haven't explained any of this, the fact that it's such a huge contradiction, and there now isn't a very good villain. Like, there's no setup for a villain in the last film. They had to fucking bring in Palpatine to be the villain.
Right. So there's questions that were raised by virtue of the trilogy. So that there's a First Order that came from the ashes of the Empire. There's a story there we're not being told. So the narrative has to focus in these areas to answer these questions. And if they don't, then Snoke is just another Palpatine with all these questions. And the same with Rey's parentage. She's just another Force user with all these questions. And The Last Jedi doesn't care to answer or even address these questions outside of saying they mean nothing. And that's not what you do in stories.
It meant nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So stories, you're there to find meaning, even if the meaning is stupid. In this case, the meaning is not to be found. So when we find out that Rey's parents were nobodies, that whole line of reasoning or questioning stops. When Snoke dies, it could pick up. We could ask other people these questions, or other narratives could answer these questions. It stops, and then it gets retconned to hell in Episode 9. So these things are just not good storytelling elements and reveals for obvious reasons. We need to find meaning in our stories, whether it's a murder mystery, a mystery in a space opera, or a mystery in a police procedural. We have to know why things are happening, even if they don't make perfect sense. They have to make some sense. So with Luke being, what was his, was shame? What was his emotion? I think it was shame and fear or whatever from running away. That's a pretty weak reason. It is a reason. It's just really dumb. Maybe he would feel that way for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 months. And then you go, geez, I got to go do something. I got to go fix this problem. I got to go talk to my sister. I got to do something. But he doesn't. He runs away. And this is the problem with this story. They just drop stories because who cares? Because Rian Johnson doesn't care.
Nope.
My opinion. Kylo accomplished something Vader never did. And Rey decided, regardless of Luke Skywalker's disillusion...
Wait, what did Kylo accomplish?
Yeah, that's my question. What did Vader never accomplish? Because Vader was the second hand to one of the biggest empires in history.
He just
I think he accomplished a lot.
Yeah, he followed orders. So wasn't Kylo also following orders? What are we comparing here? Blowing up a planet is a pretty big deal. I guess they blew up 5 planets. I mean, that's a big deal too in Episode 7. So
I guess he became the big kahuna as opposed to Vader, who was always second fiddle.
I guess, is that it? He could have picked up the Emperor at any point in time and thrown him down that shaft, you know.
Yeah, the whole thing of I'm going to finish what you started really makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't. What was his goal? What was Vader's goal?
Yeah, what was Vader's goal that he specifically didn't finish?
He showed up to work on time. He was very efficient. I don't know.
She would remain the embodiment of the new Jedi. So in the end, this left us with a ragtag resistance versus Kylo Ren in his entire First Order. And I do think the Force bond between Kylo and Rey in The Last Jedi was a highlight of the entire film as well. It was so simple in its execution, but so powerful in regards to their final coming together to face the Praetorian Guard. That scene was where I truly felt that this is all going completely different than what I figured. P.S. I've already seen tons of people nitpicking this duel, and that level of nitpicking would fundamentally destroy any and all enjoyment of the previous entries.
No, because there are actual problems you can notice. It isn't nitpicking. Nitpicking is something small. Some like small problems like a car in the background of Lord of the Rings. That's a small problem. That's a nitpick. But these are like very big issues with the choreography. And Shadiversity isn't nitpicking when he's bringing out all these problems because there are so many issues in the fight scene. Again, unbelievable that someone would just throw their weapon away to die. That's not nitpicking. A weapon disappearing right before they stab someone, that is big things, like things which are really fucking stupid.
So we brought in Shad, right, to cover up his nitpicking video of the fight scene, but he loved it. But we can't criticize that, or we can't have nitpicking videos where we didn't like it.
But here's the thing. A small detail that has a detrimental effect on the remaining of the story is not a nitpick. As Shiny said, a nitpick is something that is relatively inconsequential. So someone's dress changes color mid-scene. That doesn't have any effect on the actual narrative. It's just a side detail. It's
cosmetic.
It has no result, basically. However, if a weapon disappears in a fight, where that weapon would actually be crucial to killing a character, well then, if that weapon was there, the character would be dead, and therefore the story would be drastically changed. If Rey's lightsaber was green for a moment during the fight, that doesn't fucking matter.
It's any fight scene where there's multiple assailants and they end up fighting one at a time or maybe two at a time.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some like, oh, how are they going to get out of that? Like, that's interesting to me because when you have force powers and weapons that can cut through flesh like butter, that's like, okay, I could see it working. But the way it played out in the throne scene was so generic and wrong. They didn't use any force powers. The lightsaber didn't seem to work sometimes, and it did work.
It breaks the suspension of disbelief when, like, if you have, imagine if you just had two people with sticks and they're saying between each other. That would not be believable. That would be breaking your suspension of disbelief, and there'd be no action, there'd be no tension. It's like, oh, they're just hitting each other with sticks. And so when you have poor action, when you have action which isn't believable, and you can actively look at this, then it makes the film hard to enjoy because it's like, wait, why is this all happening? This is confusing. This isn't believable. You're actively, the way you're trying to immerse someone in a film, you're trying to get them to believe a lie. This entire film is a lie, and you have to get your audience to believe that this is actually happening. They know it's not real, but you have to convince them that it is. And in order to make it believable and immersive, you have to... what's the word I'm looking for? You have to make it as realistic as possible. So you could go over... Your argument here, AT-Chat, is that you could go over any fight scene and it would ruin your enjoyment. We're not talking about enjoyment here. But trust me, there are plenty of fight scenes in media that are completely believable and have very little problems with them. And Shadiversity has gone over them in great detail. In fact, I think even though there are quite a few problems with the fight in Episode 1 and Episode 3, Shadiversity actually points out that there's a lot of quality stuff here, even though it's made a bit more flashy for Hollywood.
Yeah, and it's not just Shad.
Done a video Episode 1?
I believe he has, yes.
It's not just Shad.
I thought he just did Empire, Revenge of the Sith, and Last Jedi.
I think he did one for Phantom Menace. I think he did, anyway.
There's plenty of other guys on YouTube that are HEMA instructors. They look at all the Star Wars films, some of the Witcher episodes. So there's all sorts of great stuff. Oh, even the Game of Thrones stuff as well. So lots of great analysis by experts that you would imagine other choreographers would be like, yeah, I know fighting. I know sticks and swords and what have you. That they would.
I had a sword once.
Yeah, I know a guy who had a sword. Yeah.
We're talking with a guy who owns 9.
Yeah, swords are cool.
They are very cool. One of mine is like 5 feet long. It's about.
I have a lightsaber. Fight me.
All right, gentlemen.
I use my words.
Okay.
No, I'm not kidding. I actually do have a lightsaber.
All right, Shiny.
It's actually one of the really good FX ones. Like it's made of metal. It's really fucking good. It's got like a proper detachable blade which you can turn it off and on. It's really good. It's not one of the shitty collapsible ones.
All right.
Check out these now.
That's one of the fucking best birthday presents I've ever received.
Okay.
Well, shall we continue this?
Yeah, I gotta go through
video.
Super chats. We'll keep on going. Not even halfway done, guys, but okay, we'll speed it up. Brady Burleson, normal people like 69, Netflix like 6 to 9. This is a joke in regards to the Cuties trailer that dropped last week, which is getting ratioed to all hell. If you don't know what the Cuties trailer is, search for Netflix Cuties and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Search on a VPN and with Indigo. You don't want that on your history.
It's
oh my
fine.
God.
It's on YouTube.
There are
fine.
people fucking defending that, and that's just such mind-blowing what the fuck moments to me.
The
people
trailer itself was bad. It's possible the movie, because it was showcased at a film festival and it won some award or whatever, is probably not so bad. It's the context of the trailer which makes us go, why are you sexualizing little girls? Like, what's going on here? So that's the bad part. Maybe the story is great. I have no idea. I don't care. It's not my wheelhouse. I don't care. Anyway, Joe Crazy. Come on, guys. It's all kendo, remember? I don't know. I can't remember the exact argument he was trying to make.
Everything's coming up kendo.
It's like, oh, it reminds me of kendo. When these guys, 2 swords, 2 wooden bamboo poles. You're like, what?
Saga. It's not a perfect duel or a perfect fight scene, but for me, it's one of my favorite duels, fights, whatever you want to call it, in the entire
subjective.
Star Wars saga. To quote Harrison Ford while filming the original Star Wars, "Hey kid, it ain't that kind of movie. If people are looking at your hair, we're all in big trouble." And this is in regard.
What? What's wrong with Luke's hair?
Well, no, this is Mark Hamill made a quote on like a Jimmy Kimmel show just after they went into the trash compactor. And Mark Hamill points out to the director, hang on, if we've been in the trash compactor, shouldn't we like mess up our hair or something? Why would we fall through this and like our hair would be, clean? And Harrison Ford turns to him and goes, hey, it ain't that kind of movie. If people are looking at your hair, then we're doing something wrong. Which basically means if they're looking at such a small detail that has no consequence on the rest of the story, then we're obviously not being interesting with the story we're telling. However, the problem is you kill Snoke off and then people are like, okay, I'm interested in the story now. So even if they don't like it, and then they look at stuff that can have a big detriment to the story, like a weapon disappearing out of nowhere that would have killed a character if it had been there. It's not the same thing. Mark Hamill having tidy hair in the trash compactor room has no relation to the story taking place.
Right.
A weapon a guard is holding that then disappears while fighting Rey, which would have gotten her killed, has a big effect on the story, because obviously if Rey dies, a lot of what happens in the rest of The Last Jedi can't happen.
Even then, there are a lot more problems in the fucking film than just one disappearing knife. That entire fight scene is entirely flawed. It is insane how many problems there are with it. It's one of those things where...
In comparison to what people call nitpicking in that fight, in comparison to what is an actual nitpick that Harrison Ford is addressing in the quote that has been provided.
regards to continuity between scenes about people's hair. So anyways, another positive in The Last Jedi is Luke confronting Kylo on Crate. When it was revealed that Luke was meditating on Ahch-To because Rey had already left him there without a way to get to Leia and her resistance until JJ retconned this, his use of simil futuris...
No, it wasn't retconned. It was established in the film that his X-Wing was there. It's established in the film. She looks down and it's like, oh, look, there's his X-Wing. That's how he got there. That's not a retcon. It was there. Does he know what a retcon is?
Yeah, well, I suppose to be lenient, The Last Jedi doesn't divulge whether the X-Wing still works or not.
It's fucking space technology. I think it still works after a time. It was like it's maybe been there for 10 years compared to like the Falcon, which apparently has also been sitting there for about 10 years and completely fine.
All right, here's a super chat from Skids. Hey Smud, why response not respond to Cosmonaut Variety Hour's Defense of the Force Awakens video? The link is on Discord. I think we already did their Last Jedi, or was it the Rise of Skywalker defense?
Return of the Jedi. It was Return of the Jedi for Cosmonaut.
Okay. I do have it listed, so I mean everyone that has been listed in Discord I've copied over. We've already exceeded our 2,000 character limit, so I have to make a second list. So I mean we will eventually get to it if it's interesting. But Cosmonaut is kind of a waste. He says a lot of things that are unfounded or just opinion. There's very little context or background behind it. And his takes are bad. And I'm not sure why he's so popular aside from good editing. I mean, that's about all I could say about these guys. Like even AT-Chan has good editing. But
you can't even criticize the prequels properly.
Yeah, there's lots of holes.
Look, things even when it comes to him saying like actual media quality, he made a video about the Clone Wars, and it's a fucking shit video because he says he's trying to say how great it is, but he uses episodes which are actually fundamentally very terrible and the fandom doesn't like as a defense for the Clone Wars. It's the point where it's like, okay, dude, I agree with that the Clone Wars is great, but are you really trying to use what was it? I think he brought up the droids episode as like a quality, you know, the one where it's like they're on a secret mission. That one, do you remember?
Yeah.
Like the droids are on a mission.
I remember that one where they hook up with the clone trooper.
Yeah, a Gregor.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of fans don't like that, and like it will often agree, yeah, it's a terrible episode. We just kind of ignore that. But like he has actually going, so yeah, this is great. It's a good episode. Go watch it.
So this is a defense we've heard before from Ryan Johnson, how he used elements from the EU or whatever you want to call these books, which were decanonized, to say, hey, you know, this is a thing, and I'm using it, even though it's no longer a thing, and he's using it to
stealing it.
He's stealing it. Yeah, well, that's fine. If he's in charge of making a Star Wars film, he could use whatever he likes. The problem is it's been decanonized, so it doesn't make a difference. It's a silly thing to say. Plus, he's pulling force powers out of his ass anyway from Rey, so it doesn't, like, who cares what the force is anymore? It makes no difference what Rey can do.
J.J. Abrams doubled down on it by introducing force healing and force teleportation.
Oh god.
A force projection was the most magical thing I had seen since Yoda lifted an X-Wing out of the water.
Magical.
Plus, I have always loved the idea that Kylo was just facing a ghost of his past. Now, one last thing.
What?
It wasn't a ghost of his past. It was ghost of Luke. Even in Ghost, he's still alive.
The most magical thing he had seen since Vader. Oh gosh, I hate this so much.
AT-AT chat, with respect, you're an idiot.
No, he finds the lifting of the X-Wing by Yoda magical. That's fine. To compare it to force projection across God knows how far is like, all right, Okay, it's magical to you, my friend. I don't. A hologram is magical. Just amazing. Okay. I thought the dice was pretty magical. I had no idea how that worked. That boggles my mind to this day.
Even after he dies, the dice are still there.
They're still there.
Then they just disappear in Kylo's hand after Luke has died.
Maybe it's like biofeedback. Like he's still projecting, and it takes like so long. Like there's this big like 2 minute delay before death. The energy is still being transmitted. Who knows?
About The Last Jedi was its inclusiveness in regards to the ability to tap into the Force. When Rey asks the dark side cave to show her her parents, which she believes will bring her meaning, she is presented...
Wait. You're trying to tell me the Force is inclusive because Rey asked a dark side mirror and it lets her give her a vision. What? What does that even mean? Like, it's just... The Force gives power to people who ask for it. Like, okay. Doesn't it always give power to people who use it? Like, always? Has the Force ever denied, no, you're not going to pick up that rock, Rey?
Fuck you.
It doesn't have a mind of its own. It's literally a force. like air or electromagnetism or like anything else. Oh my God. What is this guy talking about?
Any dumb things. Let's go with that.
The Force is inclusive. What the hell?
The Force is very inclusive and occasionally triumphant.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Rey originally came from nothing, yet out of nothing rose greatness.
Yes, out of nowhere. It's one thing to come out of nothing, to say, hey, this is a kid from the streets, and he rose up to control a kingdom. And he climbed the ranks of the military. He won the hearts of the people and married the princess or whatever. Rey goes from 0 to 100 in 24 hours.
It's not even an exaggeration. These two films take place back to back. It is literally a day, or maybe a day and a half.
At most.
Me, I like that I were going to continue on through Rey. It wouldn't be because she's some special Force baby, but rather it's because of her deep connection to the Force. And that would allow for a brand new order, much like Kylo's offer to Rey. However, most of those interesting ideas that were presented in The Last Jedi were thrown out for the final sequel. Now for the cons
of you want to talk about throwing things out? Well,
it's mine.
Are we talking about what Daisy Ridley said about The Last Jedi, where Rian Johnson threw out all of J.J. Abrams' ideas? I want to say that I honestly don't know, because I don't think J.J. Abrams is the type of person to actually plan things out, what was in the mystery box. Like maybe he had a handful of ideas, but if we believe women and we believe what Daisy Ridley said, he actually had a plan and Rian Johnson threw things out. So you can't make the, J.J. Abrams is bad because he threw things out argument when you're actively defending someone who did the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So here we have some criticism from the AT-AT chat. Let's see what juicy ideas he's got that we may actually agree with.
The cons of The Last Jedi. I'd honestly say it comes down to how it used comedy. That's the biggest thing. Slapstick comedy isn't something new to Star Wars. It's all over the original Star Wars films and heavily infused into the prequel trilogy. But I will say that The Last Jedi had odd placements for comedic breaks and tension. The most notable of this happened within the first few minutes of the film with the mama joke. I think funny quipping is fine and more to my taste, but TFA presented Hux as a pretty fierce general, and The Last Jedi sort of turned him into a sleep-deprived mess of a general, which perhaps was the point, but all I'm saying is that joke didn't really land for me. And beyond that, I know folks think Canto Bight takes up a lot of screen time. Well, it doesn't at all. However, to boil down
10 to 15 minutes at least.
One sec, how long is the Canto Bight segment?
It's literally
like
It doesn't matter how much it takes up of the actual film. It's how much it takes up of the character's runtime in the film, and that is basically all of Finn and Rose's runtime is in Canto Bight.
Oh,
I remember someone said it only takes up like 15% of the film. It's like, considering the length of the film, that's a lot of time. Even if I know you talk about it's the importance that it's the character, that it's actively the character's time that's wasting. I agree. It is important that it's wasting the character's time, but it's still taking up a lot of time within the film, especially when you're talking about a 3-hour film. And it's actively cutting between it all the time. It's an absolute waste, especially since it goes nowhere. You could just have Finn. A better use of the time in the plot would be Finn, Rose, and Poe all looking for a spy who is holding some kind of tracker to track the ship. And that would be more sense than just, hey, look, they have a weird space tracking thing, which was apparently impossible, which it wasn't impossible before. It's all just stupid retconning and...
Holdo. Holdo's like, I'm not telling anyone on the ship my plan.
Considering how antagonistic Holdo is, like,
Poe go find this spy, and then it turns out it was Holdo all along, and she just sent away the most competent people on like a goose chase, so she had to work without interference.
It would explain a few things why the ship wasn't destroyed instantly when the First Order found it again. They could have easily taken the Raddus apart very quickly. So they wanted to capture it. That would have been a good twist. Yeah.
What a twist!
So also, go ahead.
Go for it.
Joe Crazy. But Rey is a special force baby. She is literally the daughter of a Palpatine clone. Yeah, I know.
Oof.
Yeah. Palpatine clone, or is it just directly Palpatine?
She's the daughter of a Palpatine clone.
Yeah.
Why is it a
Palpatine clone? Is the daughter of who is the son of a Palpatine clone?
Why is it a Palpatine clone? I'm confused.
Okay, so what happened was Palpatine had a clone. The clone had ran away and had a baby, and that baby was Rey.
He cloned himself.
Yes.
As a son.
Yes, and that clone didn't have any force powers.
That just sounds like a farce.
It is.
Yes.
It's actively explained within the fucking book.
Anyway.
So, not that I read the book, I skimmed over a lot of things online about the book.
Book that's not part of the film and only exists to fill holes, but I'm sure creates brand new ones.
It does create a lot of brand new holes. Because it tried to fix the fact that wait, Palpatine fucked someone to have a child, and then that child fucked someone to make Rey. When did Palpatine fuck someone? And then said, okay, so since that's a weird thing, what we'll do is we'll make it so Palpatine had a clone, and then he fucked someone.
They said Palpatine wanted a clone that would age slower than he did, so it would be younger, so he could raise himself as a child. It's like, oh, okay, that's not weird at all.
I don't think it's supposed to be a child. It might have supposed to be okay. I don't think it was a Boba Fett thing. I think it was more of maybe a spare clone for in case he died again. But then if he had a fully functional, healthy clone, why did he go along and do all the why was he in a Tism body? Because that Tism body was a clone.
Because reasons.
Can he not just keep all of his clones in stasis and then just break a new one out of its pickle jar whenever he needs it?
I don't know. Why, if this was a clone, why is it actively Tism-y? Like, it's breaking apart and shit.
Why doesn't his clone do exactly have the same goals and drives as he does?
Reason.
Because he wanted to settle down and have a family.
But why? That was never Palpatine's intentions.
Because #Clone Lives Matter.
Not all Palpatines.
No, not all clones. Not all Palpatines are evil.
He has a control chip in every one of his clones.
On Twitter, not all Palpatines.
Yeah, why wouldn't he just put a control chip in his clones? If he could do it with the clone troopers, why can't he do it with his Palpatism clones? so that they don't run off and have babies and make boink boink.
Is that how he controlled Snoke with a control chip?
No, he didn't control Snoke with a control chip. Snoke was just a puppet in terms of like he just said, "Hey Snoke, I need to go do this thing. Go do it." Snoke was his bitch,
and he happened to have a big jar of clones of Snoke whenever he needed one.
He can clone himself and he can clone Snoke. So,
no, he's not even cloning Snoke. He builds Snoke. Snoke was a building of his creation.
Okay, so but the point is I'm confused. He selectively chose to make his own clone powerless.
Apparently.
Why, if he's planning to have a clone supersede him?
I think the bigger break in canon is the fact that Palpatine can just make Force users. Like, he can just breed them, genetically create them, and then send them off into the galaxy.
And he chose to make a clone of himself that had none of those positive attributes.
It might have been that the clone just failed.
Didn't Vader say something to the effect that the power of the Force is way stronger than any mechanical creation? And yet we have Palpatine being able to make Snokes, which are incredibly powerful Force users, stronger than Rey, apparently. Why didn't he just go into like mass production of Dark Force Snoke armies?
I would have focused on that instead of the 10 billion superstar destroyers.
Yeah, because
just more superstar destroyers, more of them.
Because if you can throw somebody down through a hologram, powerful. All you need to do is project onto an enemy ship, and you just kill the people.
And you're just gonna kill them.
Because that's smart. Could have just either quickly broken through the comm units of the Radis, and then just Snoke could have force choked everybody with that logic.
Hey, look, the enemy's hailing us. Maybe that's going to surrender. Oh no, it's Snoke. Bleh.
Or just broken through the comm units and just say, we can't stop it.
But then everyone will everyone will complain. It's like, but dude, you saw what Luke did that and he died. It's like, yeah, but Palpatine can make these infinitely.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Snoke died from doing that, Palpatine can just shit another one out as if nothing happened. They are literally expendable.
Even just a hologram, since we see in the Last Jedi, he's able to throw Hux around like a ragdoll with the Force through just the hologram, and he hasn't even space ported in. So
space ported.
Yeah, they haven't even hyperdrived in.
We see Vader do it from a room away from the bridge, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's 20 meters or whatever, and that was through sight through the vidcom. So it's not unheard of. But now that you can do this, that's just opens up the door to so many assassinations and lethal Jedi. Like, don't use the vidcom. The Jedi might get you. Like all these weird rumors and scary stories of people dying from answering the door, or picking up. Like, imagine those stories. What's those Candyman jokes that you spin around the bathroom 3 times?
You pick up the phone, you just die.
Yeah,
it's like, hello, this is the Palpatine resident.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, this could have been a practical, logical technique, which is way cooler than Order 66. Order 66 is like this stupid long thing in the making. You have to make a whole army, and they have to make a second army to fight the first army, and then the second army has a chip in their heads so they can shoot all the Jedi in the back. You're like, that's really complicated. As opposed to, I'm going to create a mole in each of the Jedi orders that are actual Sith, but they act really nice. And Order 66 comes by, it's like, snaps my fingers, boom, they're going to kill a Jedi by force choking them or whatever. That would have made a lot more sense.
Like the Children of the Empire in Star Wars The Old Republic. With agents that will just turn and kill Jedi or disrupt
I don't think that was the Emperor. Well, you think of SWOTO, right? The Children of the Emperor. I don't think they were sleeper agents. I think they were just... what was it? They were just assassins, essentially. They weren't sleeper agents.
Well, basically, how they worked was basically what happened was the children of the Emperor, and they were hidden from they were taken as children,
Yeah.
And they were infused with the Emperor's essence, and then many of them were put into the Jedi Order or into the Republic.
Where's that stated? Is it in a book?
It's in the Jedi Consular video game. Jedi Consular campaign.
Yeah.
The Jedi Consular campaign. The only one that I remember seeing the Emperor's children on is the Jedi Knights one, and that's where it's explained that Kira is actively one.
Well, the antagonist of the Consular one is the Emperor's first son.
Okay.
It's like a thing.
I'll be honest, I got very bored of the Consular one. I didn't think the story was that good for it.
It's not. There are some interesting concepts in it, but that's what the Emperor's children were in turn. They were used for. Maybe that's what I remember. I might be wrong, but that's how I remember from playing through it.
Yeah.
I just remember the Knights campaign explaining the children as the Emperor as ones, which were just basically Sith assassins. They were the Emperor's assassins. Just say, "Hey, yeah, go kill these people. Do this job for me. Do this task."
Exactly, but the way that they did it was they were concealed by the power of the first son.
Okay.
And so that then they could be Jedi and then just be tricked.
We're kind of on a tangent here.
Yeah, because this man doesn't have anything interesting to say.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's read some super chats. We'll get back on track. Joe Crazy, he couldn't make an army of Force sensitives because he was too busy buying the Super Mega Ultra Stardust. Yeah, I know. It's just in underground. No, he was making them. He wasn't buying them. He was making them underground. That's a long time instead of buying them. He could have gone to Canto Bight and bought a whole army, but nope, he wanted to make them.
In the book, they tried to explain that he bought the parts, he transferred them to Exegol, he then had them constructed under the ground of Exegol and kept them there hidden.
What?
Well, that's a lot of steps.
Considering Exegol is completely hidden to everyone in the galaxy, and who would have the knowledge to go through that giant, whatever you call the
space
border,
goo,
space red tree thing? I don't know.
Space cancer.
Yeah.
Space cancer.
That's a lot of ships. That's a lot of trips back and forth. Anyway, that's so Skaven. Palpatine. Hey Vader, got a question. Would you ban.g me? Vader, my lord, I don't. Palpatine, because I would totally ban.g me. In fact, I have an idea. So yeah, Palpatine wants to clone himself so he can make more of himself. I gotcha.
Yeah. Dark Empire actually had a logical problem for why this is a hard idea. He can't clone himself because he will erode the clone bodies.
Oh, I made a mistake there. It was not buying his Super Mega Ultra Star Destroyers. It was burying his Super Mega Ultra Star Destroyers.
He buys them, then buries them. It's canonical that he actually buys those Star Destroyers.
Oh my god. I made a mistake and I was right? Oh my god, that's horrible.
They explain he buys the parts, he ships them to Exegol, and then they're built under the ground of Exegol.
It just makes no sense. It just doesn't get worse, guys. It's just...
I tell you, the book, it makes a lot more problems than it tries to solve.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to explain where this fleet comes from. He had the parts shipped there.
Because it's basically, the movie is so utterly brain dead that you cannot come up with coherent logical explanations for most of the crap that's happening. You have to just say, screw it, I'm just going to come up with bull crap because I can't be bothered to come up with it.
All right, we got halfway through, guys. We can keep going.
Yeah, let's finish this.
My thoughts on Canto Bight. It was beautiful to watch, but the weight of what Ryan was trying to convey was a bit lost on me. It was definitely a powerful idea to have Finn and Rose learn that the Resistance and the First Order are kept in business by the same folks who are part of the elite in the galaxy. But it ended up just being exposition from DJ, who I think maybe was actually the worst character in the sequel trilogy, full stop. I loved DJ's philosophy, but honestly, I didn't really like the character tics, etc. All that kind of stuff with Benicio del Toro was super strange to me. And one super nitpicky thing I had about this film initially was that we learned truly nothing about the books inside of the Unity tree on Octu, while the next film sort of explored them in a
Your
very
biggest problem is
way.
the book.
I expected some insights from those books,
and that's not even exploring them. That's not even a sacred Jedi text. That is Luke's fucking diary, as it explains that Luke couldn't find this thing, and this was the last place he went to. That's not a sacred text. That's Luke's scribbles. Also, why would Luke put his diary in with the rest of the text?
Also, he knows that Palpatine is still alive. When did this? Did he just give up searching for Palpatine before he tried to kill Kylo?
Apparently.
Isn't it great that Rey can just succeed where Luke fails? It's just, Luke was doing his thing with Uncle Lando, but no, Rey's there. She accidentally fell through quicksand. Oh my God, she's still alive. Oh my God, she found a snake thing, and oh my God, she can heal it for some reason, which just happens to be the same spot where the thing they were looking for was. The
timeline of Luke's life at post Return of the Jedi in the sequels is utterly asinine and broken.
Yep.
Yeah. Mainly Rise of Skywalker's fault.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
Lots of things can be blamed on Rise of Skywalker. That's true.
Yes.
He conveys a message that these are important. We're going to learn about this. But in reality, they weren't important. And again, that's just my own.
So he's looking at a prop or a series of props going, this is really good. I like these props. Then we find out, no, they're not very, they're sort of pissed off. It's like, we could say this about any object in the universe of, let's say, episode 7 or 8 that has no bearing.
You tried to make your Snoke theory sucks meme along with Ryan Johnson and Pablo Hidalgo, that fuckwit. They said, "Oh, well, you just didn't like the film because your Snoke theory sucked."
You didn't like the ending. No, I question your basic writing credentials.
It's not like we can ever apply this logic of I want to find out more about this thing in the sequel trilogy. Where did it come from and what does it do? It's not like we can apply that criticism to literally anything else.
Yeah, it's like, here's Chekhov's gun. Here's 12 of them. We're going to open one of them and just have a bunch of sketches that Luke made. They're not even the thing we thought they were. It was just his journal. You're like, oh, yeah. How about the
secret Jedi text?
Yeah, how about the crazy bombers and their design and their function and why they had them? How about the lack of Y-wings? How about all these other things that don't make sense with the ships?
No one knows what a Y-wing is.
Just right.
Yeah.
Own personal tiny nitpick. I wanted to know about the ancient lore in the Jedi text.
I want to know more about Rey, how she's so freaking powerful. How about that problem?
I want to know about the characters. Not some stupid props.
I want to know how Palpatine survived all that bullshit. I want to know how he built all that stuff. I want to know why they made a dagger that had to be shaped in the same silhouette of the horizon of the Death Star. Why did that even exist? How does that work? Did they pass out all these daggers? Did everyone have one? Like one dagger?
Of the ruins not shifted, rapid or eroded over time.
Yeah,
metal rusts.
Also, it's on like an ocean. There's a lot of waves, and over the 30 years, it's going to erode and move. And this is a very massive object. And also the sheer size of an object like this, a small fucking moon, that is cataclysmic. That would destroy a planet. It would be worse than what ended the fucking dinosaurs.
And when you see it explode in episode 6? There's like nothing left. It's just big confetti, just poof. You're like, okay.
Wouldn't the Republic try to either A, destroy this, or B, make sure that no one could ever build this again? Because why would they just leave a significant portion of a giant superweapon that's capable of destroying planets? Why would they leave that, especially the dish area, just for anyone to find? And how have people for salvage companies not said, hey, yeah, over there is a huge small moon-sized object which is full of metal and resources that we could just take and actively make money from. And this is something they even go through with fucking Force Awakens, where they have people actively salvaging things. Okay, so they salvage from Jakku, but not the fucking second Death Star. Why?
So we can say a lot of things about The Last Jedi we wanted more of. Exposition about Luke, about Rey.
No, there's nothing in The Last Jedi that I wanted more of.
Well, we wanted to explain problems.
So why aren't there big companies that are salvaging this stuff?
Yeah. Like the Republic. Say, how do they make this thing? How can we defend against it? How can we make better weapons out of this thing? Obviously, it's part of the Empire, was part of the old Republic. It was now the Empire. Why would they retroactively learn and take it apart and use it for resources?
Make destroyers of their own.
Well, in canon, they actively took Star Destroyers, broke them apart, and salvaged them to make their own ships. So why wouldn't they just do that with the Death Star?
You can make a lot of big capital ships from that Death Star.
I can't believe I'm talking about the fucking Chuck Wendig novels, but at least this is something that Chuck Wendig does go over in his novel. Like, he expands upon what the New Republic is doing.
Yeah, if you can turn the Emperor's ship into armor for Phasma, you can turn the Death Star into something useful aside from a reflective piece of material.
But no, these people don't think of creative things like that.
So even though at first I half liked this film, it ended up turning into my favorite out of the entire sequel trilogy because it had balls. Which is
it had
funny.
Balls? What?
I was not expecting that.
I like a movie because it took risks.
Again, a risk is not necessarily a good thing. It's good to it's the kind of the fallacy of doing something that it's a risk, therefore it's good. No, it's good if a risk pays off.
I'm gonna have
pay off.
A time travel fantasy story where
The Room was a giant risk.
Oh boy, The Room. Well, we can say a lot of things about that.
If I went over to Smud and said, I'm going to go jump off a bridge without a parachute, and Smud said, hey, that's good, that's ballsy. Instead of, no, that's stupid, don't do that.
Yeah, it's like just the fact that you've done something risky isn't a good thing. It's whether the risk pays off.
Let's just look at this amazing freeze frame of how much energy or electricity Rose shocked Finn with. The entire room lit up like a lightning rod and blasted him.
Threw him into the fucking pod.
That would probably kill a man.
Stop his heart.
At least, yeah. Or have a hole in his chest or something. Like, boom.
The whole reason she's doing this is because, I need to leave. I'm not actually part of the resistance.
No,
it's like, you're not allowed to leave in an escape. I don't know why he thinks leaving an escape pod's going to fucking fix anything, because the first order's going to be like, hey, sir, they launched an escape pod. Let's open it up. Oh, wait. Shit.
Worse, just shoot it.
Oh, yeah. Or if they just shoot it as well, because the escape pods are very vulnerable things.
You can also scan for life forms.
The whole thing of he can't leave when he's not even part of their group. That's just benign.
So how does that ship? They managed to get a ship off to Canto Bight without getting either shot or followed and then shot.
That's the magic of movie making.
No, it's the magic of Rian Johnson's.
Yes. So the reason why AT-Chat likes this is because it broke new ground.
broke new ground.
It did something different, and therefore it's good. It's like, no, you need to actually, do something different and good at the same time.
What did it for
their place in this film? Either way, the good in The Last Jedi heavily outweighed the bad.
Heavily.
Say it, and it must be true.
Wait, the bad. What good? The good is superficial.
The music, the acting, the lighting.
Hey, guys, you're being really, really harsh. We need to be, we need to look at the good things that are truly important in this film, like how Kylo Ren reacts to stuff.
Like his reaction, which isn't even a good reaction. So more!
Secretly racist JJR.
So how fucking... I would put his more line even below the acting of Hayden Christensen in the fucking prequels. Like, it's not... It's so bad, it's not even memeable. Like, maybe it's memeable, but not quite as much as the prequels. It's not levels of I don't like sand, but it's still a bad delivery.
It just seems as though like Ryan had better deliveries on the table based on the director and the Jedi, but he chose the worst takes.
In my eye, it wasn't even aggressively bad in my opinion. It was just
meh.
The rating I would give
it was meh. It was meh.
It was meh.
Would be an 8.5 out of 10. And that boils down to
absolutely nothing. Thank you.
The slowness of Canto Bight in the oddly timed.
The slowness of Canto Bight.
I think the irrelevance of Canto Bight.
It was paced slowly, guys. The entire film is slow. What are you talking about? It's a slow motion car chase in space. Oh, but Canto Bight, that's way too slow, guys. Way too slow.
Why don't these people actually take a note out of some good writers' books who actually structure out and plan their stories, like Brandon Sanderson or Robert Jordan or J.R.R. Tolkien to a certain extent?
Art is subjective. And if fucking Rooster Teeth had taught us anything, people give anyone a fucking writing job these days. Hey, do you have no experience in writing? Hey, come and write a flagship series.
That worked for David Benioff. All he did was write Troy, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and 25th Hour.
Yeah.
One of which was...
yeah, so they have two writers, like some of the first ones that they home grew. One was an intern, and the other one, I don't even know what Kerry did, but Miles and Kerry, who are responsible for a lot of the writing, one was an intern that wasn't even a writer, and they said, hey, do you want to write something? Oh yeah, sure, I want to write something. Here, go write something. And guess what they wrote was fucking terrible, but they keep giving them the fucking writing jobs. Why? Who fucking knows? No wonder Rooster Teeth is going down the fucking drain with Ruby and all that shit, because they're giving jobs to writers which aren't even writers. They were interns.
Imagine that a lot of them probably got at it because daddy or mommy asked for a favor.
No, Miles and Kerry, they're not they're not even related to anyone important. They just got given it because why not? They're fucktards.
I know David Benioff got paid for it, or at least his daddy got a favor for him. So.
All right, let's go.
Narcissism.
Comedy. That's really it for me. Otherwise, TLJ is executed extremely well. The Last Jedi has some of the best editing in the sequel.
It does not.
Are you mad? This is so slow.
You have slow bombers. I hear bombers booming overhead. None of you are going to get that reference. Okay. I think maybe Voice. Voice, do you get the reference? The hello, hello reference?
No. I haven't watched Hello, Hello in ages.
Hello, hello. It's the I heard boomers booming overhead. It's the... Never mind. Okay, so the bombers, they're incredibly slow. That's not good pacing. They're slow, they're vulnerable, it's terrible.
When she's the last bomber in space, it takes like 2 minutes for this thing to get to where it needs to go.
And like in this entire time, in like 5 seconds, all the bombers are destroyed, other than one, and then that one just happens to make it there perfectly safe.
It is the fattest, slowest, most volatile target you could possibly imagine.
It's a piece of shit.
It'd be like me walking into a battlefield in World War One with a horse and cart that was just filled with gunpowder.
Not even a horse and cart. Like it was something. It'd have to be much slower than a fucking horse. It's
a cow.
A squirrel.
Cow.
Okay, no. It's a squirrel. It's a squirrel and a cart.
It's like I turned up to the Grand National on a cow.
Oh no!
How is this great pacing? This is crazy stuff. I don't know.
I just went, yes, this is the suitable choice for this event. I'm on Daisy the cow with fireworks strapped to it.
That is fucking amazing. Actually, that's the most amazing analogy I've ever heard.
Please, someone make a meme of that.
Daisy the cow.
Voice in the radio, just turning up to just fucking.
Just a cow with dynamite in my hands. So there we go.
Dynamite strapped to the cow's butt.
Yeah, no, it's just strapped all over the side. It's just in the battlefield. It's like, this is fine. I'm perfectly safe.
I'm too proud to look for cover.
Okay, so we can argue that this pacing is not great. Let's just say.
That's being incredibly kind.
Professional editor. And actually, The Last Jedi left the story off in a way so that a truly unique.
You're a professional editor, quotation
But that
marks.
was until the reboot king was called.
Hang on. A grand finale, there was 20 people on one ship. They have no allies because everyone said no.
Everyone said fuck you.
He spent only 6 minutes on 6 to 7 minutes on each of the movies. Is he going to be ranting about the Rise of Skywalker for the rest of this video?
I guess.
Is he going to give his final thoughts
See,
later?
what happens is defenders of The Last Jedi hate the Rise of Skywalker. They just hate it because it undoes a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's the only reason I like that film is because, well, I like it subjectively because there are so many moments where it literally just gives you the fuck you to the Rian Johnson, where it's like, I was wrong. A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. And it's like all these...
all the maneuver was 1 in a million.
Yeah, like all the things which are just trying to undo everything Rian Johnson did.
Ray's Grandpappy.
Ray's the Palpatine.
Yeah, where it's like, ooh, you have special blood now. Everything that's special about you came from your grandpa's semen.
So let's see how far we go. He's probably going to hate it. We can skip ahead until we get to the end, but he's probably.
No, I don't want to skip. This is too much gold.
All right.
No, let's just let it play and
unfortunately,
see what
Rise
happens.
of Skywalker is the ultimate outlier in this trilogy. And regardless of how much fun it is and how much I enjoyed watching it, I kind of can't believe that the final Skywalker.
This guy enjoyed watching Episode 9. Just think about
Messiest film.
I enjoyed watching Episode 9, but not for the reasons it wanted me to enjoy it.
No, I was kind of actively. I was like reading off the leaks to a friend of mine, and she was screaming into the screen because she was furious. And then when we watched Mahler's review, she was like, "This is freaking stupid."
I knew everything that was going to happen because I actively knew the all the spoilers and all. Not the spoilers, the leaks. Yeah, I actively knew all the leaks before going in, so I knew what was going to happen. But yeah, I just kind of. It's got to the point where I was like, at this point, you have really fucked over what I care about. I don't have any stakes in this. I don't care. Give it your best shot. Like I was actively, there was nothing it could do to upset me more. So
you guys saw when I watched it. I was stunned.
You were like, "What the fuck?" I mean, to the point I was also like, "What the fuck?" But I also enjoyed the film subjectively.
Okay, let's go.
The messiest films is
was
trash
as
forwards.
carelessly put together as it was. I honestly feel like JJ and Terrio sat in a room and said, it has to have this part, and this part, and this part, and this part, and that part, and this part, and that part, and this part. And then
yes, because it was a mess.
That's how, if you want to, shorten all the arguments between writers, it's like, yeah, we want to have these scenes and that scenes. And yeah, it's true. It could still be a good story.
It was actively trying to fix problems, so that's why it had so many things that it was trying to fix.
Yeah, you can make a list of all the things you want, and that's fine. It's how you do it that matters. So all these elements could have worked. Does it make sense? Is it connected in a certain way? Is it shown on screen at a certain time? All of every single element, aside from some retcons, could have worked just as well, but they didn't. Because they didn't think about it. They didn't use their brains, if they had one to use, to make things make sense.
We could just create a narrative around that. Does that sound cool? Sounds cool. Now, I'm not saying that no love went into the actual production of this film. What I am saying is the film took the easiest way out imaginable by kind of being another alt-universe recreation of the original trilogy, but this time within one film.
How was The Last Jedi not a repeat of Empire to Return of the Jedi to Empire again?
Because there's all the plot points in TLJ are still there.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way I see it is like if you had the Empire Strikes Back and the Rebels escape Hoth, and then instead of following the heroes, we followed the Rebel transports for the next 2 hours.
Actually, I would say it's more like following it in reverse. So like they end up at Hoth rather than starting up at Hoth, if you get what I mean. So like it borrows a lot of plot points, but it's something that's not as picked up as much because it does do a bit better at hiding it.
When JJ was first quoted as saying "F it" in regards to feeling the pressure of Star Wars while filming Dross, I took that as a positive thing. I even have a video on it saying that, I love this mentality. It's great. I figured he wasn't too worried about...
Wait. The fuck it mentality is not a good mentality to have when making something.
Especially not something that a lot of people care about. The screw it mentality is what ruined Game of Thrones. Which is better than Star Wars. Like it doesn't have as much long-lasting appeal, but Game of Thrones in its heyday was better than Star Wars could ever think of being at its heyday.
Internet debates, and that he was going to create a unique vision for the ending of his trilogy. I was wrong. The f it, at least now, comes off as, you know what?
He was.
A job to me. I need to get it done, and if recreating the OT within 2 hours and 22 minutes is what needs to happen, so be it. Either way, we will make $1 billion. That's how I take that phrase.
Yeah, so he admits that he was wrong with the fuck it was being a good thing.
Because of how disconnected it feels to not only the previous 2 films in the sequel trilogy, but to the entire Star Wars saga as a whole. At best,
it's only a sequel if you interpret it that way, Mr. ATAT-Chan.
Rian Johnson had left on the table, but the way that JJ and Terrio mined those ideas actually ended up placing the characters back at the beginning of their journeys. Rey was a confident
and Rian Johnson doesn't do that with Rey.
Much like Luke's in A New Hope was enough.
Like Rian Johnson resets what happens with Rey by she all of a sudden just cares about her parents again when Orange says that line, which actually stopped making care about her parents, which forces her to what you're searching for is not behind you but ahead of you kind of thing. That's not resetting that at all.
I don't even know she had an arc to follow.
I think maybe Rian Johnson just has memory problems. The
thing is, though, the problem with Ryan is he actively cares about the meta, and that's one of the problems where he actively he's trying to go against like Snoke theories. He's trying to go against all these things within the film because he looks says, oh yeah, people are shipping Reylo, so that means I'm going to include Reylo in my film for some reason.
The weirdest thing was, didn't he like write it like really quickly after Force Awakens?
Yeah, he famously, and he loves to tout this. he only had one draft for the film and he never redrafted. And that's something he thinks is a positive. Don't ask me why he thinks that's a positive.
Now, Rey doesn't feel worthy of wielding the lightsaber that literally jumped out of the snow into her hands. Kylo Ren ended up putting back on the helmet.
Whoa. It didn't jump out the snow into her hands. She force pulled it into her hands. It's not like a Destiny fucking thing. It wasn't a Destiny to have that lightsaber. It's not even her fucking lightsaber. It's Anakin Skywalker's.
And didn't she get it first with that chest in the cantina?
You roll that back a couple of feet, like 10 seconds or something? I want to see what that he said. Make sure what he said.
Belief in it, much like Luke's in A New Hope, was enough. Now, Rey doesn't feel worthy of wielding the lightsaber that literally jumped out of the snow into her hands. Kylo Ren ended up putting back on the helmet because
he says
reasons.
that
It's
as
really
if the
not
lightsaber
explained
has a
whatsoever
will
in
of
the
its own,
film,
but
and
it
the
doesn't.
novel does attempt to give
One's
it a
from
purpose,
Harry
but
Potter.
JJ just wanted the helmet back on. And as I said, I like the helmet, but there should at least be a compelling reason as to why Kylo Ren needs to wear it after 1 year of being the leader of the First Order. Why did he wait a year? Rather than Kylo truly be the villain of the final chapter, and yes, I figured redemption was still going to happen either way, he's back into another
I think
master
even a
apprentice.
year jump isn't enough for this film.
Here's the thing. This is another example of a nitpick. This has no relevance on what happens to the plot, whether Kylo has his helmet on or not.
It's purely cosmetic.
Yes.
So, like,
nitpicking now. This is the difference between this and the terrible choreography in the fight scene of the throne room. Whether Kylo has a mask on throughout this film doesn't matter.
Like he thinks like legitimate criticism, objective criticism, I might add, is nitpicking. But when he does it and he goes on artificial things, or not artificial, what's the word I'm looking for? Entirely subjective aspects.
Superficial.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, that's it. Aesthetic. Actually, purely after aesthetic things.
Regardless of whether it's aesthetic or not, that doesn't make his point mute. He is correct, but there's like so many more big. There are far bigger fish. But it
is a small problem, I would say.
Like the rampantly broken plot structure.
Yes.
Plot anti-structure, I should say.
Even to things like the pacing is just incredibly benign in that film.
Also, like, it seems as though it's makes it easy is the mantra of this film, where Rey gives the lightsaber to Leia and say, "I will earn your brother's saber," and she gets it back like 5 minutes later.
It's not her brother's lightsaber. It's fucking Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. It's not hers. It's not Luke's. It's Anakin's. He fucking made the damn thing.
Every film, every problem is solved within 5 minutes. There are no long-lasting consequences.
BB-8 being crushed. Oh, it's fine. The Falcon on fire, despite there being like a big fuss made about it, it's completely fine.
It's the saber back like 5 minutes after giving it for safekeeping for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know where she got it.
is revived. Chewbacca is alive. Chewbacca's alive.
Arrangement that's wildly convoluted, and it potentially ruined the existing logic of the Rule of Two, which has been pretty airtight regarding the Sith and how they rose to
they're
power
not
in
Sith.
the shadows.
So wait a second. He's making an argument from Legends or from the books he actually read with Drew, where the Rule of Two came up with, and those books are non-canon, and he's arguing that this is not allowable. And you're like, dude, are you paying attention to anything Disney has said in the past 6 years? When they decanonize things.
Yeah, the
rule of two is still canon, but everything surrounding that is the only thing we ever really get on it are some expanded material which Disney has released or the Clone Wars. But even then, the rule of two doesn't even matter because they're not Sith. Snoke and Kylo's not a Sith. He's just a Dark Force user.
Yeah, he never calls himself a Sith.
He may as well be a Sith, but he's not.
Yes, there is a difference. No, the films do not explain it.
Yeah, the same way Rey may as well be a Jedi because she's stronger than all of them.
Yeah.
She is all the Jedi.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'd say she actually is a Jedi, in fact.
Now, don't get me wrong, anything involving Palpatine is fun as hell and super campy in the best way, but it was unnecessary, and it also undermined Rey's entire
hate that everyone
story.
just says,
now she's the daughter of a clone of
the
a
thing
clone.
of the thing of Palpatine is that he's
Force
campy.
Awakens in The Last Jedi in a
No.
way that was natural, then okay, but it wasn't. And the Mirror Cave isn't an analog to Rey being a child of a clone. I've seen that on the internet, and I think that is a ridiculous reach. The Rise of Skywalker.
Do you know what? Anything with that fucking scene is a ridiculous reach because there is nothing there. It is nonsensical.
Even like what Ryan said, was like, you're looking for easy answers. Well, okay, you're not going to get them here. You're going to have to find them under your own. You don't get that unless you listen to his stupid voice droning in your ear about his asinine creative choices.
That's never a good idea, folks.
Ideas and concepts into his own trilogy that it was going to be impossible to make sense of it all. The Sith Eternal Cult was never even alluded to whatsoever, and it also made the emergence of the First Order in The Force Awakens completely pointless. Had Snoke's ring had the emblem of the cult on it, then okay, I'd give it a bit of a pass. But now Kylo's greatest moment in the trilogy, slaying his former master, is reduced to a Dooku moment, where it's nothing but a test for Kylo, so that way we can make sure that it's okay for him to take the Sith throne. And beyond that, all we learn about the First Order after Kijimi is that people are rising up all over the galaxy.
People are rising up all over the galaxy.
We never got to see the defeat of the primary antagonistic force from this trilogy. Instead, a carbon copy of that force was introduced in The Rise of Skywalker that also lived underground for 3 decades. Okay, so while TROS did feel like Star Wars in the way The Force Awakens felt like Star Wars, it failed to feel like a sequel capper to me. And sure, I've kind of tossed and turned over my feelings for The Rise of Skywalker. Sometimes I think it's fine. In the best finale it could have been, given the fact that the remaining original trilogy hero had passed away before production and Luke died within the story.
Okay, Carrie Fisher is a very small part of this film and the entire trilogy. So really, you could still tell a good story even though you don't have Carrie Fisher.
But here's the thing, even if Carrie Fisher was still around, that doesn't mean this film wouldn't have sucked.
Yes.
Yeah. The fact that she died through a giant monkey wrench into the already busted mechanics.
And then they spent like millions of pounds just to like bring her corpse up and...
Fucking the AT-Chan, did you really say this wouldn't have happened if Carrie Fisher hadn't died?
I call
Did you want to scratch that?
I call BS. Call some serious BS on that.
Bit of a mess, but I will never blame Carrie Fisher or Ryan Johnson for
JJ's
lazy story.
I wouldn't blame Carrie Fisher for dying either. I really wouldn't blame her for dying.
God damn it, Carrie! You made this movie horrible. Why did you have to die after the fact?
God damn it, Carrie Fisher! Why did you die? You ruined this for me.
It was really weird to bring it up, but thank you for qualifying.
Storytelling. So I have said plenty of negatives about The Rise of Skywalker. So I think it's time to
You've
talk
said
about some
like
positives.
3.
First, it is one of the most aesthetically
I will
pleasing Star
blame
Wars
Ryan.
films next to
I
The
am going
Last
to blame
Jedi.
Ryan.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it looks good. It sounds good.
You know what? I'll agree. Is it visually aesthetic, or is it visually and aesthetically like a Star Wars film?
Yeah.
In parts, a lot of the new designs are riffy, and some of the. I don't like JJ's attitude towards aliens. He's like anything weird and wacky, throw it in there. He did it with Star Trek, and he's doing it with this. It doesn't matter if it aligns with any kind of existing design and look and feel, blah 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 blah. But does it look visually nice? It, like removing it out of the context of a Star Wars film. Yeah, it's well shot. There's cinematography is a bit uninspired, but it works. The visual effects, they're fucking amazing because they have money and they have industrial lights and magic, which are miracle workers. They brought back Carrie Fisher from the dead, so that explains their skill. But just because you have the power to do something doesn't mean you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
That I've ever. The Rise of Skywalker finally got beyond that TV pilot look that all JJ films seem to suffer from. At least that's my opinion. And oddly enough,
what? They have the TV pilot look?
You have to qualify that.
Yeah,
I think if I think
5 seconds.
I guess cheap would be the clarification, that it would look aesthetically cheap.
Yeah,
but even then, I don't think that even 2009 looks cheap. There's a lot of money in that, and the same with The Force Awakens. Force Awakens doesn't look cheap either.
If anything, his films tend to have too much of that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's too much money.
To The Last Jedi that I've ever watched. The Rise of Skywalker finally got beyond that TV pilot look that all JJ films seem to suffer from. At least that's my opinion. And oddly enough, I loved the
You can't just say that. You can't just say that's, oh yeah, but that's only subjective to me. When you're making a qualitative statement like that, you can't just say, well, it's just my opinion to cover your ass.
I also find it funny that he said it goes beyond the TV pilot look while also showing Exegol.
TV pilots, and also
Exegol, which is incredibly lazy and cheap. I mean, it's like the visual effects are still well done, but it's a box and an endless floor and some fog.
It's Exegol, the planet that made this movie need to have a seizure warning.
Oh, really? All the lightning.
Yeah,
like the trick with the
Dunn.
Totally a TV pilot. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Let me try back and forth. Is this working again?
Yep.
You just cut out sometimes.
Okay. Well, it's just like the trick with the lightsaber, that's totally TV pilot levels of like
fuckery.
Yeah, cheating the system. Yeah.
It'd be funny.
Exegol with all the flashing lights made it. I think it was required in the US. They needed to put in a seizure warning for bright flashing lights.
Also,
just because they
also
wouldn't
reusing
the overstyling of the Exegol planet with all the fucking lightning everywhere.
And I just
also
realized,
reusing the same fight scene over again.
Yeah, that's right. The second take.
Cringe,
yeah.
The fucking cringe lines as well. It's like, I have died before. The dark side is the pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
The one thing I just realized about that, the teleporting the lightsaber, why would you turn it on and then teleport it? That seems kind of dangerous for whatever is happening. And how that...
Yeah, like, if you hold it on the wrong spot, you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah, plus, I don't know how the overlap...
So how do they align? Are they...
Yeah, how do they line up their bodies? How does that work with the hand holding one and then they hold the hilt?
Back to back?
Yeah.
Are they back to back? And how do they how does he know that he's handing it back to her if back to him as she's doing back to back? It's so stupid.
The only like subjective thing I enjoy about that is like the moment where like Kylo Ren does the Han Solo shrug. It's like I kind of like that. That's a nice touch. You get a small, neat pick film. You get that. You get a tiny bit. I'll give you a crumb. How about that?
It's the Knight of Ren that is actually standing behind Kylo when he's doing this. So I'm thinking, what is he?
I was like, whoa, what?
and despite the fact
they don't react until like after he pulls it out fully.
Yeah, he's just watching him do it. It's like, dude, get him in the back right now.
Like he has a gun. He has a gun. He's running around shooting, and then he just loses his gun so he can pull out the lightsaber.
And there's no conversation. Like the Praetorian Guards were just like, let's attack these two guys. The Knights of Ren are like supposedly Kylo's posse, but now because he's against the Emperor, therefore he's a villain. I never understood the Knights of Ren, why they were there, what they are, what they're trying to do. They're just a bunch of guys with swords or axes or whatever, pikes.
It implies that there was actually coherency.
There was an organization that did something. They had a credo. They had some sort of thing they wanted to accomplish, a goal, a a code, something. But no, they're just a bunch of guys that have no lines of dialogue that are called the Knights of Ren. So you're assuming that there's a hierarchy and Kylo is part of that hierarchy. But they're not. Like, they don't even have blasters.
So, well, actually, they're called the Knights of Ren for an entirely different reason if you read this comic book. No, shut the fuck up.
Like, stormtroopers are better than these guys.
Yeah.
Even that guy in The Force Awakens had a weapon that could counter lightsabers. But then these guys walk around with clubs.
And sticks, and you're like, what?
There's one of them's got like a really crap-looking bardiche, like the big long glaive thing. And you're like, the fuck is that going to do against a lightsaber? You do know who you've been sent to hunt, right?
It's just a fucking club.
That random 1 in a million clone has that fucking lightning cattle prod for countering lightsabers in a world where Jedi don't exist. Really?
But the Praetorian Guards have those laser whip things, or whatever. Personalized weaponry.
Like, how did those even work? Those are stupid too.
Here's Alex Halo. Thank you, sir.
Like,
I just
if
got
they were
here.
just swords, it would work better.
And Shiny complimented something in this movie. Who are you, and what did you do with the real Shiny? There are things to like in bad movies, guys.
Yeah, the Han Solo shrug. It's a nice moment. It's a small thing. I give it a crumb.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'll admit it doesn't make any sense. It's entirely subjective, but just from a personal subjective point, I'll give you a crumb.
There you go. Okay.
That's not much. That's not out of character.
By the way, I'm gonna head off. I'm a sleepy boy. You guys have like 3 minutes left of this video. You're absolutely gonna smash it.
Fuck you on about being late. It's 1 a.m.
Okay. See, Shiny, people are human and not you. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not human. I get.
You're a radio. Why do you need sleep as a radio?
Kylo just super chatted. I'm just messing with you, Shiny. XD.
I mean, if you
fuck you.
You leave your TV or your computer on all night, it's gonna get hot and
really
energy. So yeah.
I mean, I leave my computer on all night. It's completely fine. Just have a fan. Yeah. It's super cooled, so it doesn't need. It stays really cool all the time.
I'm a 1930s radio. I'm not water cooled.
How much heat are you generating as a really pathetic radio?
Quite a lot.
Fucking upgrade yourself, man.
You don't understand how hot I am, Shiny. Okay.
Come on, Shiny. Voice is in heat right now.
Okay, then. Thank you so much for coming on there, Voice. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you real soon, okay?
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. Ta-ra!
Have a good night. Okay. Alrighty. We got 5 minutes left. It's all
too bad.
It's all positives from here, guys. All fun. It's all good stuff about the Rise of Skywalker. This is where the fun begins. The positives of the Rise of Skywalker. Here we go.
Of the Dyad, and how JJ ended up having Ben return to the light side of the Force to reunite with Rey one final time. I also think that JJ created one of the most beautiful moments in all of Star Wars.
This is the most confusing moments of all of Star Wars. That's saying a lot, guys. What is going on in this scene? Can anyone tell me? I was stunned about 20 minutes into this film. This is way later in the film.
It's Kylo Ren seeing a vision of his father and forgiving himself for killing his father, and that's the entire scene.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like he is just having a psychotic break.
I don't know.
That is the only that's the only reasonable explanation.
He's having an hallucination that's not Force powered, and the camera's catching it, and he's forgiving himself in spite of killing his. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Or some.
Dunn, you
I don't know. I don't care. It's so stupid.
But it's beautiful, guys. It makes no sense, but it makes me feel something.
It makes me feel good.
He's a ghost.
Yes, I perfectly butchered that. Don't come at me.
Within The Rise of Skywalker, with Kylo talking to the memory of his father. That moment was brilliant. And although Carrie Fisher had passed, JJ did make pretty great use of what he could with her character in unused takes. But imagine...
Okay, so you took... the thing is, though, they weren't just taking the footage of her and cutting it out. They were actively putting it onto a 3D model. It's a very controversial thing to do, to take a dead actress and put her into a film.
They used her sister as a body, or sorry, her daughter as a body double in some of the back shots.
Yeah, they used CGI a lot, so they took like they had photos of her and mapped it onto a 3D model for a lot of it.
Why think when you can feel?
Yes.
Hi, Liddy D. Liddy D has arrived to debunk happiness.
You're a bit compressed and loud. Like
you're just too close to the mic. Yeah.
Maybe go a bit further away from your mic.
Now we can't hear anything. Did he just die?
There we go.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
There we go. Well, LitDev, you missed about 21 minutes of nonsense.
No, I've been here the whole time. What are you talking about?
Oh.
You see, you never really truly gone.
Oh, no, come on.
No one's ever really gone.
Super
fighting
chat
what we
for
love.
610.
All right. The Knights of Ren and Stimpy. Oh, God.
It's pretty accurate.
Ironically, better movie. Better.
Yeah, no.
The Knights of Ren were so silly in the movie, they had to write in stormtroopers and give these faceless people, these faceless nobodies, lines to explain so they can make sure that they can tell the audience how cool the Knights of Ren are. And then the Knights of Ren proceed to do nothing.
The reason why that was there was because Rian Johnson forgot about them, and subsequently so did everyone else because they weren't in the film. So they had to remind them who they were. So they had someone said, Knights of Ren!
Remember those guys? We do. I know you don't, but we do.
Yeah, Rian Johnson forgot about them.
Such a stupid moment as well. It's like, Knights of Ren!
Daenerys just forgot about the Iron Knights of Ren.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yay.
I hate David Benioff. I hope someone...
We know, Dunn.
I hope that the Darwin Awards take it somehow he turns up in the Darwin Awards.
Well, we got about more than 4 minutes. So these are all positives on the Rise of Skywalker. So this is going to be a pretty eye-opening for most of us.
Oh yeah, LitDev. So apparently, critiquing a fight scene, that's nitpicking. But apparently, Kylo Ren putting on his mask in Rise of Skywalker, that's a huge problem to this guy.
You mean Kendo Ren?
Kendo Ren. Yep.
Yeah. Barometer of quality is broken is just right.
So is critiquing a fight scene is nitpicking. Is it also bigotry? Well, I'm just interested in what flavor bigotry it is.
Said bigotry yet, in his defense.
He's not working hard enough.
I think he made a jab at the fans, and he made a jab at Extended Universe fans as well.
So just fans, Star Wars fans, are just ruining Star Wars. So all the people who aren't Star Wars fans.
It's somewhere near the beginning. He started saying, "Oh well." His head just got my fucking mouth. What did he say? He said something along the lines of
Star Wars is for everyone.
Star Wars fans claim like they're trying to say how bad it is. No, they're trying to say like how bad it is, how much it failed, and he pulls up all the excuses for why it didn't fail.
But it did fail, though. Like it did fail. They dropped in profit billions of dollars. It failed.
The apologists for this film are so dumb that I'm just like, you deserve the sequels.
This video is so forgettable. I even forget the arguments he's trying to make.
Because he's big which, but at least he is better than Movie Bob.
Is there anyone really worse than Movie Bob?
Maggie Mayfish.
Yes.
That's close. That's very close. It's very debatable.
No, she is.
Maggie Mayfish isn't actively protesting for them to invade Poland.
She's pretty close. She, not too far removed.
Is she actually advocating for invading Poland?
Does Maggie Mayfish 1 to 1 invade Poland and 2 create a master race of nerds?
And fucking believes in eugenics.
Well, I'm not entirely sure what she believes in, but
Movie Bob does.
In terms of video content, or in terms of their actual beliefs.
I think that Movie Bob is one of the worst people on planet Earth right now, but I think his video quality is almost as bad. Maggie Mayfish's video quality is way worse than his. Also, she's creepier. Because she just has the crazy serial killer eyes. She has those weird serial killer eyes. Especially when she's doing her own makeup, which is weird.
That was special, yeah.
She puts way too much makeup on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And she looks like a fucking clown in that video. She's become fucking Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're off on a tangent. Shall we continue?
Let's continue, yes.
JJ and Terrio could have done with Carrie Fisher if she had been with us. It was a truly devastating blow, not only to the Star Wars family
they didn't
at
seem
large,
to do a
but
lot
the
with
sequel
Carrie
trilogy
Fisher
story
and
being
Luke
told.
and Han
it's
Solo,
unfortunate.
so
It
I
was
don't
an
think it's
event
much
that
of
no
a
one
stretch
could
to
have
say they
ever
probably wouldn't do much with that
anticipated. And
either.
before her death,
This is a bad argument. I'm sorry. If a character or a person who plays the character is dead, therefore all the scenes with Leia could have been a lot better. It's like, sure, but you just write better scenes.
That's to fix the film.
Write her out of the movie. Just say she died off screen and have a funeral.
It's not hard.
we all went into 9 knowing that this was going to be Leia's movie based on how Han was the main OT character in The Force Awakens and how Luke was the main OT character in The Last Jedi. Now this would be Leia's moment. So
I want to point out just some random
really
nitpick, I suppose, with the film. They actively have spaceships, but yet they're just lying around. Like they just set up consoles and command centers all around everywhere. Like they're not even inside. Just in a random fucking forest.
It's like a jungle. It's like, yeah, we'll just
we're just in the middle of a jungle, and we have ships and interiors. What we're going to do is we're going to place our consoles outside in a jungle.
Great idea.
So where'd they get their ships? They have no funding.
Yeah.
They just steal it?
They have no funding, they have no support, they have no backup. They have a handful of people.
Because J.J. Abrams...
He said about The Rise of Skywalker, beyond that it's fun to watch, but a mess of a movie. And one of my favorite YouTubers called Major Lee said it best. At the same time. That's
What? What did he say? I couldn't hear it. What did he say?
Ooh, very nice.
I couldn't hear it overall laughing.
He said one of his favorite YouTubers, Major Lee.
Oh my god. Is he serious?
That was good. Let me hear. What is this? What is he
based
saying?
on how Han was the main OT character in The Force Awakens and how Luke was the main OT character
I was
in
to
The
clip
Last
that.
Jedi. Now this would be Leia's moment. So beyond that, I'm not sure what else can really be said about The Rise of Skywalker beyond that it's fun to watch, but a mess of a movie. And one of my favorite YouTubers called Major Lee said it best. It's bad.
Who's
but
that guy?
amazing
Who's
at the
Major
same
Lee? I
time.
never
That's a
heard of that guy
sentiment that I would
before.
Okay, I actually want to hear what he's saying.
Freaking mess.
really be said about The Rise of Skywalker beyond that it's fun to watch, but a mess of a movie. And one of my favorite YouTubers called Major Lee said it best. It's bad but amazing at the same time. That's a sentiment.
It's a mess of a movie.
It's a terrible.
What does that mean?
Rise of Skywalker is fun to watch with beer.
Maybe it's so terrible that it's just amazing how terrible it is. Maybe that's what he's trying to say. Maybe we can...
So Jeremy Johns actually, like, in his rating system, he actually has a rating that says, "This would be a better time if I were drunk." He didn't even give Rise of Skywalker that. He gave it like the level just above dog crap, which is like, I'm gonna forget it in T-1 day. Yep, already forgot.
The reason why I find that so funny, this whole Major Lee thing so funny, is because basically Major Lee is that guy we watched, the Sam Hyde speech. He's basically said the Sam Hyde speech. He's basically Sam Hyde from that speech, and saying that he's your favorite YouTuber is kind of like saying he took that speech seriously. We're just gonna kill him. Yeah.
I think the main problem is here from these two YouTubers, Major Lee and ATAT-Chan. They're two people who can't understand the separation between what you enjoy and what is objectively good. So they can't separate their subjective enjoyment from their objective judgment. And therefore, they believe that what they enjoy is good and what they don't enjoy is bad. And therefore, they understand that, okay, I really enjoyed this film, but it has a lot of problems. So they can't realize that, actually, yeah, I subjectively like it, but I objectively think it's a terrible film. Instead, they go to, well, it's amazing and terrible at the same time. And that's the excuse they try to do to it, to describe its quality without understanding the difference.
Whoever heard that before? Being able to hold two opposite ideas at once? Whoever heard that before? Wasn't it 1984?
So essentially, what you're saying is these men have not developed critical thinking skills in any meaningful way.
I'm saying that I don't understand the difference between what you like and what is good.
This is like saying a political YouTuber's favorite other YouTuber's Vosh. Okay, that's kind of like what's happening here. And as soon as you say that to your audience, you pretty much checked out on all your credibility. You're a joke. Major Lee is a clown. He is acting. It's a whole role he puts on, and he goofs around. If EFAP
admits that he doesn't even care what he says, and he says stupid shit.
Exactly. So when you were saying to whatever, I don't know, whatever video that he wrote or made, that he's a great, and in this video he says this. It's like, AT-Chan, do you know what you're doing right now? You're quoting a video of a guy who's acting, who's making shit up.
I'm pretty sure Major Lee's a troll, right? Like, as soon as I learned that he's a troll, he became infinitely more entertaining. All of his videos became so much more entertaining once I learned Major Lee. I'm pretty sure he's a troll. I think he admitted he's a troll.
I think he's unintentionally a troll.
When he was on EFAP, he was pretty much saying this is all an act. He was getting to that point. It took him about an hour to get to that point because he was trying to have fun, but then he's like, no, this is all I'm just kidding around. Like, oh.
Once I heard that, I instantly started respecting Major Lee. Like that. Okay, that's understandable. That's fine. Major Lee's okay in my book for that reason. Because it's just a troll. It's an act. Well, that's fine. It's the internet. Good. I'm glad it was all a troll. It makes sense. So yeah, Major Lee's fine in my book because of that.
I love what Aura Master put in chat. My favorite YouTuber, Xanderhoff.
Breadtubers are just capitalists that sell communism to people. Changed my mind.
I'm not sure why they exist, honestly.
There's like argumentation where, like, someone sent me a clip of him on stream where he said, "Oh, remember when I went on the Smudcast and totally flawed Jeremy?" It's like I don't think that happened. I don't think that happened at all, mate.
Your concept of reality is broken.
Yeah, can someone clip that for me where I completely ruined Jeremy's argumentation?
It's not reality, not reality, not reality.
That I would completely agree with. With all its faults, The Rise of Skywalker has the most Star Wars possible packed into its runtime. But
you
wait. Say that when you have a fleet of infinite ships.
Let's just go back. I want to hear his grammar one more time.
It's a sentiment that I would completely agree with. With all its faults, The Rise of Skywalker has the most Star Wars possible.
Okay, so.
What is that? How do you qualify that? The most
all the Star Wars.
How?
AT-Chan, is he a troll too? Because if he is, that's fine. I really like that also.
This is crazy.
If Major Lee's a troll, then I would buy the AT-Chan to troll. If he is a troll, we'll just have fun then. It won't be infuriating anymore.
Casino Royale has the most James Bond possible. It's like, what do you mean? What is that talking about? What?
That's saying something without saying anything at all. So it sounds good, but it's completely hollow and empty. It has all the Star Wars in it.
It's funny, but yet sad at the same time.
I don't get it. Like, what is he trying to say?
It's like it's funny, but awkward and sad at the same time. Yes.
This is ridiculous stuff, guys. I can't. Why is it always the last 2 minutes of a video? It just goes crazy. Major Lee is his favorite YouTuber, guys. We're learning more about ATAT-Chan than we ever thought possible. It's just.
He likes Major Lee. Why? Funny, but he's kind of an idiot.
What do you mean, kinda?
Okay, he is an idiot. He is very much
Joe Crazy. I am all the Star Wars.
Or when he like
Oh God, this is bad. Okay, let's just motor through this.
Well, guys, we get to look at women.
Regarding runtime, I have to say, I would be embarrassed if I edited this film. At the very least, if you hate The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, you can notice that it has some really great editing, that it functions as a story. And to be frank,
it was
on ball, but not the writers.
They created so much. It was like 4 hours of film. How was it? 5 hours? And it was gigantic.
Yeah. They had to cut down a lot. And even then, the film was like 3.5 hours long or something like that. And the official, like the full length cut that's released on Amazon, I think, is like 5 hours long.
Yeah, so they had to like spend all this like so much money they blew. Rian Johnson, at least, on filming and location and props and sets and all this stuff. They filmed so much, and he's like, "Oh, it's over budget, and we're doing all this hours worth of stuff we're never going to see." It's like, how do you screw up hundreds of millions of dollars that way? It's kind of scary to give this guy that kind of money and to get
both David Benioff and both have really bad money management and time management problems.
I love the quote when we're watching The Director and the Jedi on my channel, link in the description, where we were watching it, and one of the producers or was some really important person behind the scenes said, "Oh yeah, we already spent a large portion of our money on the space cow and all these other things and Canto Bight. Maybe we should actually start focusing on where to put our money."
So much money in that scene, the space cow. They had to construct it. They had to fly it in via helicopter. It was amazing how much effort and time they put into setting up that space cow scene. It was dumb. It's kind of like you hear how much budgeting and money they need to complete Star Trek V, and how much they had to cut off, and how much they couldn't achieve Shatner's vision. But you still had the 3-breasted Catwoman in there. You could have cut that.
There's the whole. It's so bewildering to me. It's like, yeah, Rian Johnson comes in. Yeah, before we even start allocating money, I'm just going to be burning it left, right, and center. Spend millions over there. Spend millions over there. Spend millions of that. What? I've already spent half my money. Oh shit!
On one cow. That's everything else has to go.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't half his money on one cow.
It was money we're just going to spend.
Okay, in a little bit's defense, it wasn't just that cow. It was also things like Canto Bight.
Yeah.
Before, like. You really need to decide where the hell where your money's going to be allocated.
In his defense, he didn't just waste it on a cow. He wasted it on this thing in movie history. Okay.
Yeah.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Dishonor on your whole family. Yeah. Need some mushu.
Canto Bight was about 15 million, I think, just on those few seconds we saw of it. So. Yeah.
Oh God, you can smell that money burning, can't you? Just
there was in the Rise of Skywalker. I was impressed with the wave set, the wave pool set they made for the shots on the outside of the Death Star. So that was real water. Like that was cool. I liked that. Like that they went to the effort to make a wave pool, have giant splashes and what have you. Cool. All right, fine. Doesn't sound crazy. A lot of water, a lot of smashing against the set. And the rest was green screen. So that's cool. But Canto Bight, that is hard to swallow. That's like, oh dear. You could have CGI'd half of that stuff.
And saved a hell of a lot of money in the process.
Time, money.
You know that capitalism is evil? Did you know that war is bad?
Oh.
Did you?
Slavery? No, that's okay.
I quite like capitalism. Thank you very much.
Capitalism.
I love it. I love capitalism. Way better than communism.
All right, 3 minutes. Let's go.
I think really great editing, in my opinion, is invisible.
Sure.
All cuts feel completely
okay, you
natural.
can't say that. When you talk about editing, that is an objective technical quality within the film. You can't just say, in my opinion, to try and make it subjective.
You know what's also great that's invisible?
Editing?
Research, writing, acting skills.
Editing isn't even fucking invisible. It's something you can look at and measure. It's like objective quality.
There's lots of things.
What do you want about?
Like The Room, Birdemic, and Dolomite are three of the worst edited movies in history. And you can notice exactly why they are poorly edited. Because it's mostly just shot reverse shot. There are pointless filler shots. And in Dolomite, there are a bunch of boom mics all over the place because the guy didn't think to, fix the boom mic.
Last Jedi is almost like this mecca of navigating through tiny spaces in editing. One of my favorite sequences is watching the camera move around inside of the bombers at the beginning of The Last Jedi. Each moment of the camera was calculated, each edit was precise. To me, The Rise of Skywalker kind of felt like Marianne Brandon took out every establishing shot, reaction shot, ship landing shot, and every other possible frame that she could while maintaining the shell of the story that was being told. As one of my favorite editors,
while maintaining the shell, well, that just you're just making it sound hollow at that point. Like, usually to retain the shell of something isn't what you're supposed to retain what's inside the shell. The substance. No one cares about the eggshell. They care about what's inside the egg.
Because that tastes good when it's scrambled.
Look at this black and white picture of J.J. Abrams.
No. You can poach an egg, you can scramble the egg, you can fry the egg. You can put on some toast and make some...
Everyone's eggs were already scrambled from watching The Last Jedi. That's why nobody went to this movie.
This really made back, I think. It possibly even lost a bit of money.
I'm curious, how much money did it make?
Yeah,
I don't even know the final sales figures.
Significant loss from Force Awakens all the way down to The Rise of Skywalker. There are billions of dollars in difference.
Yeah.
Also, there by the new after a month or two. That's not a good figure. Another problem is the fact that they were doing so many reshoots, which probably doubled the budget. And the marketing probably doubled, was other factor of the budget again. And then you have to worry about the theaters taking their cut.
For editors, I can't deny how bad of a job she did putting this film together, and perhaps that is on JJ because they both worked closely together on set, experimenting with all kinds of takes and versions of what was happening. Either way,
okay, how do you do the hyperspace skipping scene and edit it properly so it doesn't sound as if or look as if it's just a mishmash of scenes that are cut every 5 seconds?
The pacing there is so fucking bizarre. It's like, oh, we're hyperspacing again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Wait, what?
How do you
slow down to 5 seconds, please?
Pacing is the worst element of this film, just like the lighting of Solo is the worst element of that movie. There are other bad elements, but the pacing and the lighting are the most easily recognizable as bad.
Slower paced film equals happier fans. Is that because he likes The Last Jedi? Because that's super slow.
Slower pacing is not a good thing.
Right. When we talk about pacing and writing, faster is usually better. You don't want a slow-paced story unless you're doing a documentary or.
I would say it's a balance, because you need slower moments to like slow down, to actually have some character development to go into those characters. Because if you just keep it fast all the time, there's no point to settle down. So you have moments which go fast and they go slow, and they go fast and they go slow, and it's all about balancing your pacing. You can't just go in and say, because the problem with J.J. Abrams films is they're constantly fast. They keep going all the time. No chance to stop. Just keep going. And that's how he does his film. And it's very obvious in The Force Awakens, where it's like, so this happens, immediately this happens, and immediately this happens, and immediately this happens, which leads to this, which leads to this, and leads to this. And it's just full of convenience all the time.
And the Rise of Skywalker especially suffers with a really breakneck, rapid pace. Is that never slows down for any kind of character development and just like
Yeah, and as Dunn, you said before, there's a problem that gets resolved within 2 to 5 minutes. I think everything just neatly solves itself.
It's like, I think like he has like 10 tense things that happen. And then they're just resolved like 2, probably at most 10 minutes later. Like C-3PO fixed. Chewbacca dead? Nope. Fake out. He's alive. Rey thinks she's unworthy to hold the saber. Gets it back.
There's so many it's just the contrivance scenes after each other all connect. You're just sitting there going, wow, this is so convenient. Everything's working out. It's amazing.
Everything is working.
Yeah. Quicksand, that's exactly where you need to be. You didn't die. You're fine. And the quicksand is somehow hovering in space above your head. It's amazing.
They had the knife, and then, look, they get the knife back. And it's just so convenient that they needed that knife to exactly get onto the Star Destroyer, the Death Star, and know exactly where to go.
But they lost the Wayfinder, but that's okay, because Dio has all the information we all needed. It's like, that's convenient.
They never thought to check the Sith droid.
Everything works out.
Rey doesn't have a way off of Octo, so Luke raises his X-Wing.
I don't have a problem with using Luke's X-Wing.
It's more just is one thing.
Because I can believe that it's still functional and working.
Well, it just fits with the pattern of.
The reason why she goes there, though, it's really bizarre. Like, all of a sudden, she just up and leaves and then exiles herself. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. How do the fish nuns survive? Do they have a closed environment? Do they get shipping coming in at all for food or whatever, trade? Or are they all just...
I would assume they farm or something.
Yeah, they have to, but is it all just one small little pre-industrial world? Like, what's going on there? Yeah. It's like, I'm going to exile myself. No, you're not. I'm going to be gone in 2 minutes. It's like, okay. I'm going to light this starship on fire and watch it melt. It's like, how?
How does a metal go on fire? How do you burn how does metal set on fire and then keep burning?
The Force.
The Force did it, yeah. Force fire.
Did it. Not a forced fire, but a force fire.
God.
I think most fans would have appreciated a slow, more carefully paced film where the actors actually have to consider what is happening to them over just jumping to the next scene. So it's rating time. If I had to rate The Rise of Skywalker, I'd give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Basically in the D or C- area. I think
that's a weird way to put it.
6 out of
7. 6 out of 7.
6 out of 7. That means nothing.
No. Okay, so what he's actually saying, he'll give it a 6 or a 7, but you don't represent that on screen.
How the
with
hell?
A 6 out of 7. You
How
moron.
the hell do you argue all these bad things of the movie and give it a 6? How do you
forgetting it's amazingly flawed or some fucking shit?
I didn't like the movie that much. I kind of hated it. It annoyed me a lot. So I'll just give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. You could have given it any score. It was good. It was all right. It's okay.
Like how when Movie Bob gives Joker like what 3 or 4 out of 10 or something.
It's just like you list all these horrible things that don't make any sense, which would destroy any other film. But because it's Star Wars and it looks good and the acting is good, like what?
Film just feels good to look at.
Well, you do get to look at women.
Get to look at whammon, baby. To look at whammon.
What?
Film went way too far from the story it originally set out to tell, and because of that, I kind of have this feeling that I have no idea what the sequel trilogy is about anymore. I can easily say that the prequels is about the rise of the Empire and the fall of the Chosen One. I can easily say that the original trilogy is about Luke Skywalker's ascension to a Jedi Knight in order to accomplish what the Jedi of old could not. The sequel trilogy, because of the Rise of Skywalker, seems to kind of be about every possible theme Star Wars has ever had. It's about redemption, family, the darkness inside all of us, the light inside all of us, how we're never really gone. Well, Palpatine's really gone, I guess, and how everyone can have the Force, but technically it's still only about the primary bloodlines battling it out. And that even though bloodlines are important, they aren't, because you can just go to the Star Wars DMV and change your last name to your favorite space ghosts. So don't get me wrong, I saw Rey Skywalker coming 1,000 miles away from the beginning.
I hate the fucking bloodline argument because it's fucking retarded. At no point in Star Wars has it ever said you need a bloodline to be a fucking Jedi or a hero or a Sith. Palpatine didn't have a bloodline. Yoda didn't have a bloodline. Obi-Wan didn't have a bloodline. Mace Windu didn't have a bloodline.
Because you're strong with the Force, or you practice. You practice, you become disciplined, and you develop your skills, and you become a Jedi or a Sith.
Canonically, they take kids from random families who are Force sensitive. They induct them into the Order, and they train them up.
Whole bloodline thing is kind of this a narrative device. It's kind of like the same way you look at someone like, I don't know, like Pavarotti, the great singer Pavarotti. You look at his son and you expect him to go into opera singing like his dad did. You see an actor and the actor has a son or a daughter. You expect them to go into acting or whatever or some level of entertainment because they probably have the same skill set that their parents do or something similar.
Or they pick some stuff up by osmosis just by being around their parent, as well as connections in the industry.
Well, this all came up just because we don't know how Rey became what she was, and there's no connection. It gets retconned. It gets dropped in Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. It's this silly nonsense that ends up happening. So we wouldn't care about parents and fathers and daughters unless it made sense, unless the questions were answered. The same with Snoke and his origins.
From the beginning of Awakens, I figured that's where they were going to be going, but I think it could have been handled better. I think there could have been much more consideration in regards to the films that came before. So that basically does it for this extremely long retrospective on the sequel trilogy. When it's all said and done, I do prefer watching the sequels to the prequels, but I still place the original trilogy in the highest regard in terms of Star Wars. But I dislike that vague feeling that maybe all of this was a bit pointless due to the finale. Overall, when I average my rating for film, the sequel trilogy comes out to a 7.0.
Did you just say the original trilogy is better than the sequel trilogy? That makes you an evil chud Nazi.
Pointless due to the finale. Overall, when I average my rankings of each film, the sequel trilogy comes out to a 7.3 out of 10. 2 great entries up front with 1 coked out beautiful dud. Hopefully, with the next batch of films, there won't be this ridiculous pressure to hit arbitrary deadlines that have no place when crafting a Star Wars film. These films can't be treated like...
Okay, so these aren't like arbitrary deadline. I think 2 years in the modern age with a lot of money is perfectly fine to write a good film. You know, that like it used to take 4 years, but now it takes 2 years. I'm fine with that. But the problem is these films aren't well written, and that's nothing to do with time. That just has terrible writers and the wrong people in the writing room. If you really need to take more time to make your Star Wars film, by all means, I don't care. Get more time, but it's not necessary. That's not the problem here. The problem isn't that they rushed them, it's that they're poorly written because they chose poor directors and poor writers.
Here is Lenny the Shark. Thank you, sir. TRS doesn't fully commit to the consequences of the character's actions and reverses them later. Chewie, C-3PO, etc. This movie is a coward. I don't even know if I can characterize it as being scared. I think it's just so messed up.
I wouldn't characterize it as being scared as well, but sorry, I mean, I wouldn't characterize it that way. But at the same time, you're right about them going back on absolutely everything.
I think they were clearly wanting to please the fan, bring back the fans who said "screw the Last Jedi."
Yeah, they were.
That is a horrible approach to take when trying to solve a problem that a previous movie started. It's just like, oh, I got to fill in all the holes that this guy created, and instead of actually figuring out smart, intelligent ways of, how does the Force bond work? Hey, they can teleport stuff now. It's like, what? No, that's stupid. Or explaining why there's a conflict now in the galaxy now that the First Order reigns supreme. Introduce another element, like another villain. They just ruin it. They ruin the lore. They ruin the legacy, and they take away the magic that was the simplicity of a guy trying to save his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, save the galaxy.
Treated like school lunch when you just toss a bunch of goop onto a tray and say, look, it's a meal. That's not how it works. It needs to be thoughtful, and Star Wars must figure out how to not be aggressively.
So how is it 6 out of 10 then?
Also, how is this sequel trilogy not this from the whole way through?
How is this better than the prequels? It's literally goop on a tray, which you've just described.
Goop on a tray is a compliment.
Yeah, well, assuming there's 3 trays, the third tray was the worst, or dessert was the worst.
Yep.
Self-referential in the next coming films. I realize this might have been my most con-heavy video about the sequel trilogy that I've ever done, but I don't feel like bullshitting my audience saying that this trilogy was perfect.
Doesn't that make you?
Wasn't.
Didn't ATAT-Chan said that makes you a toxic fan?
ATAT is signing off.
And we're done.
I'm pretty sure AT-AT Chat specifically said that critiquing these things and talking bad about these movies makes you a toxic fan. So, welcome to the toxic side of the fandom, AT-AT Chat.
Welcome to the toxic brood.
So even though he wanted to give his, it's a non-informative. He wasn't going to go into detail. He sort of did in some cases, talking about how he liked certain things. Then he started negative with Episode 9, and then went to the positive. It's cherry-picked information. He's not looking at the thing as a whole. Like what you do with the overview or summary, looking at 3 books or 3 movies, what have you. You say, okay, I'm going to look at the major points, the thing that stands out. And he didn't really do that. He picked specific things, like the remaking of Kylo Ren's helmet after a year. It's like that. Yeah, that is weird, but that's so cosmetic and inconsequential. Yeah, it's stupid, but it has no relevance to anything. He could have just had his normal helmet and walked off and done. That'd been fine. We'd be like, yeah, of course he has a bunch of helmets. He's Kylo Ren. He's in charge of everything.
He just has a spare one in the cupboard. It's
he has a million. He has 1,000.
I'll get my Sunday mask.
Yeah, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. But, AT-AT is really concerned about that. So, okay. That is a problem, yes.
Rey handing over the lightsaber.
Yeah, that was weird.
Again, it's nitpicking for Sheniversity to go over all these problems in the fight scenes, but the moment he starts talking about fucking like very small problems, they're huge problems to him.
And the best scene in the whole trilogy was the the ghost talking dad scene. It's just like, okay, yeah. Talking to himself, forgiving himself for killing it. It's like, okay, I don't know. It's not very touching.
And I also talk to myself too sometimes.
When I talk to myself, I forgive myself for killing people. It's like, okay.
I forgive you. I forgive myself for killing you, Dad.
Really great psychopathic conversation you're having with yourself.
Kylo Ren, Michael Mercy of Armchair Directors has said Kylo Ren's just a psychopath, and I'm like, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Michael. I don't agree with you on many things, but I will agree with you on this one.
Yeah. So that was 25 minutes of AT-AT-Chan. I hope we didn't destroy any of his happiness there. I mean, it wasn't a completely positive.
God forbid
video.
we debunk some of his happiness.
Oh no, we'd hate to do that. We want AT-Chan to keep making videos and having a good time, and
we could do that. I hope we did. Hope we had a nice row of debunking some delicious happiness.
I don't know. Did he like the film? I guess 6 out of 10 or 6 or 7 out of 10 is pretty good for something he didn't like.
I'd say they're meh. So they're kind of meh overall. So I'll give him, like, I don't know, 9, 10 out of 10, something like that.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. Well, I'm pretty much exhausted from that, guys. It's been about 4 hours. I think we've had enough. But check out the gentleman's even voice in the radio, who's in the description. Check out their links to their channels. They've got content coming out every week or so. Oh boy, it's been a crazy long week so far. Nice and hot and humid here in Toronto, but I'm sure you guys are chilling out, having lots of nice cool beverages and air-conditioned rooms and what have you. So,
well, I don't have any air conditioning rooms. So.
Oh no. Well, take it easy for this evening. Get a drink. Take a snooze, a nap, whatever you do before bed. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any suggestions, come to the suggestions channel on the Discord. We go through all your ideas and we vote on them. So may not be today, may not be tomorrow, may not be ever, but we will consider them. So we don't know. That list is getting too big. So we gotta get through that channel and hopefully come together and take some. A lot of the videos are very long, guys. So I don't know if we would do them all. So there's a super chat. Hey, Tager.
I don't know how well we could do like some of them, because some of them are covering movies that a few of us haven't seen. Like, I don't know how many of us have seen Ready Player One.
Right.
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it in a long time since it came out.
Kylo is a psycho without a path. That sounds kind of cool, but unfortunately, that's not the case in the story. Sadly.
Wouldn't it be great if we had if Kylo was more like Hannibal Lecter?
You mean intelligent?
Victor and Hannibal.
He'd be a really competent villain. You can't have that.
Yeah, a bit psychopathic, meaning he would eat people. But yeah, intelligent.
Then we could get scenes like him, instead of him trying to dive into Rey's mind with the Force, he could just be like an interrogator. Just tie Rey down, stand several feet away, and just talk to her. Ever seen Chain of Command on TNG? Just kind of slowly break her down and extract the information through that way. That would make him more sadistic and make him intelligent, and make him feel more evil and more competent and scary all at the same time. That
would imply he has skill and experience, and then he would resort to like using Force mind read as a last resort.
In Avatar: Last Airbender, right? It's kind of like what made Azula so scary. So when they invaded the Fire Nation, when no one had any firebending anymore, and Azula was still able to beat up everybody because she didn't need firebending. She could beat you up, and then if she wants to, if you push her, she'll really start to try. Made her far more scary, far more intimidating.
Yes, intelligent villains are always a good thing. So, future writers out there, be sure to do so. Make your villains better than your hero on multiple levels. Make them challenging, so you don't write Mary Sue's, for at least that's one good reason. But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your time and money and all the efforts you put into making us laugh in the chat. It's always fun with you guys. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll talk to you real soon. Is that a